Yo, what's going on, you guys? This is Brandon.
And this is Blake.
And we're coming at you with a really special episode today. This is an episode that's near and dear to us. The Game of the Year episode.
2022, man. It's been crazy. And I just got to say, before we start out, this is so special for us. This is the first time we're recording in person. I guess just to give everybody some context, we normally do it over Zoom. Just peek behind the curtain.
Yep.
We've been doing it remotely since its inception. We started in 2019, and I mean, here we are in 2022. So we're just so excited and I guess thankful to be here, dude. We've got such a great episode. I'm so excited, man.
Seriously, thankful to be here. I mean, to be doing this in person post-pandemic, man.
I can see your eyes.
Like it's crazy. Like you just wonder, like, why haven't we always done this in person? Because it would have been like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Game of the Year, man.
Game of the Year. This is my Game of the Year. But I guess, just before we kick it off, the way that our Game of the Year works is we talk about, or I guess the criteria is we're going to talk about any game that we have brought up on the show this year. That's kind of our criteria. So it doesn't matter when the release date is as long as we've brought it up on the podcast this year. And anything after November is not in contention. So if we talk about a game that we love in November or December, and you're like, oh, why isn't that on their list? It's excluded. 2023.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, I think last year I think you kicked it off. So would you like me to kick this year off?
Go ahead, kick it off, man. Get the ball rolling.
All right, man. I feel like I have to preface number 10. If this is your first time tuning into us, please hear out the rest of our list. This is a little bit off-brand, a little bit off-color for us.
I can't wait.
So I guess my number 10 Game of the Year for 2022 is Fortnite.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. That's a really solid one, honestly, especially thinking about some of the moments that we've had this past year. I could see why you would put that one on your list for sure.
Yeah, man, I've had a great time with it. And I guess just to start off, it's very easy to dismiss this game. Truthfully, it's a leviathan of a game. And, as we've, it's been around for a while, and they've had crossovers from every brand and IP imaginable, from Star Wars to Dragon Ball to Rick and Morty to the NFL, Stranger Things, John Wick, Ariana Grande. The list just goes on and on and on. And just because of the size and popularity of it, it's very easy just to dismiss it. Be like, oh, that's not for me. And I think that I kind of dismissed it for a lot of years. But truthfully, I can't deny how much fun I had playing this game this year. It is just so much fun. And, we talked about it a lot on the podcast this year, but they removed building. And when they removed the building, it was turned into a fast-paced, fun, cartoony third-person shooter battle royale.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it was more of like a strategic battle royale and a very skill-based battle royale. And they just completely changed the whole narrative of the game. They completely changed, the structure of it and how it's played. And it's just so fun. It just truly opened itself up to become such a playground and just a space for great, good old video game fun.
Right.
And we had so much fun with that. Or we had so much fun doing that this year.
Yeah, we did. We played a lot of it. I know you played through a whole season, right? So you got a whole season's worth of prizes.
I did, yeah. It's the first and only time I bought a season in Fortnite, and I just loved it. I had so much fun. Truly so many fun gaming moments. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's ultimately why I decided to put it on the list. Because it's the nature of it is very fleeting.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting, just because it's a time and place. I mean, this is a live service game, and it's the most successful live service game. So that means that this game changes every single week. Truly, every week the game is different. in some type of way. It's like got new guns, got new characters. Like, truthfully, the game is different every week.
Yeah.
And because of that, like, the game and the season of game that I played, like, they no longer exist. Like, parts of the map have been destroyed, they've been distorted, replaced. Like, the guns are different, the places are different, the mechanics are different, everything about it is different. And by the very nature of it, you know, it's always being updated, it's always new, which is exciting and why it's so successful, but it's also a bit sad. You know, like, the game that we played so much of and that we loved, like, they had, like, Star Wars and Dragon Ball characters in it. Like, those are some of our favorite franchises. Like, that game just doesn't really exist anymore. And, like, I loved playing it, and it's kind of sad that it no longer exists, you know, but I think that's okay. You know, I mean, small iteration after small iteration, you know, it just becomes, like, small tweak after small tweak, like, after a month. It's just a totally unrecognizable game.
Yeah.
And I think that that's cool, and I think that that's special. And for me, this year in 2022, I really enjoyed the time that I had with it, you know, playing with my friends, and even making some new ones. So, Fortnite, my number 10.
Hey, that's one hell of a number 10, man. I'm super stoked to see what the rest of your list has in store now. Kind of set the bar there.
Yeah.
I guess I'll get right into my number 10.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited.
So, mine is going to be, you know, when I started gaming on consoles in 2012, I started with Skyrim on the Xbox, and Skyrim was made by Bethesda, and this game was also made by Bethesda Softworks.
Okay.
This is Ghostwire Tokyo.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Ghostwire Tokyo, number 10.
Yeah, man.
We talked about this a little bit. This is... I really wanted to check this game out. You really sold me on it. I'm just waiting for a sale.
It's awesome, man. It really just... It takes you and it puts you in this setting, which is Tokyo. You're in the city of Tokyo, and, you know, the whole population is gone. There's been a huge, you know, disaster. And now, you know, the population has been replaced by... supernatural humans that are going around the city trying to, you know, just get their way, and it's up to you to stop them. And I really like how dense this world was. It really felt like, you know, I was in New York City as far as, like, block to block. As you're progressing through this world, you're moving through the Shibuya district, which is, like, one of the most densely packed districts in the world. And you really feel like you're in this world. The creators did a great job of taking you there and you know, enveloping you in this world. You know, having you just experience life in this kind of torn city. And as you try to mend it, you kind of start to feel the connection to the city more and more, because you're, like, quite literally cleaning up the streets from... kind of Batman-esque, if you will, from all these bad guys. So it's a really cool game. I definitely see the similarities between, like, a game like Skyrim and Ghostwire, and why I like both of them so much. And I definitely see myself spending more time in Ghostwire in 2023, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to put it on the list, was because I didn't get to explore as much as I wanted to, but even the small bit that I did explore was enough to, you know, just keep me going, and I'm very intrigued on this world. I really love this game.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So I guess you brought something up. I guess I didn't know. Is it an open world game?
It's a single player game, but it is open world in the sense of, like,
in like Tokyo.
Yeah, you're in Tokyo. So
I guess I didn't realize that. I didn't know it was made by Bethesda.
You can just, like, walk, you know, from block to block, but you're in the Shibuya district for the most part.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's really, oh my gosh, it's really about the setting.
Yep.
And the place.
It really is, and I think that's why they limited it to a single player game, is they really wanted to tell this story. You know, the creators, like, really felt a connection to the city personally, and you can tell with, like, the story, and when you're playing as the two protagonists, like, they just have little commentaries about areas, and they'll say certain things, and, like, you'll kind of get a glimpse of what their life was like before the disaster.
Oh, wow. So, like, are you also, like, kind of trying to save them in a way?
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, and in a sense, you kind of all are trying to save a protagonist. It's a good story.
Okay. Are you also like trying to save Tokyo? Like, are you trying to save the place? Because I know you say there's like a disaster happens. Is that kind of like the main goal of the game? Is to like save it and put it back to the way it was?
Yeah, you're pretty much trying to like get rid of all these evil spirits and ghosts that kind of like come out and taking over. So
Okay.
I'm trying to put them away.
Now let me ask you: is this game spooky? Is it scary? That's what I've heard.
It definitely tries to be spooky.
Okay.
The elements, it definitely does its thing. It tries. Personally, I didn't really feel too seriously. I can play this game in the middle of the night. I'm fine. It's it's at the end of the day, it's a video game, and it's really fun. You have like, it's very trying to think what game this is like, as far as like kind of like Fallout-esque.
Okay.
Where it comes with like how the mechanics play. Like, you can have like, it's like lasers in one hand. Kind of looks like.
So you kind of have like magic, right? Like
magic,
it's like each trigger is like your different hand, and you kind of like you.
But
so
you're
like
capturing souls.
Oh.
Like you are capturing souls. So after you defeat somebody, you say you use your magic on your right hand. On the left hand, you like will like actually absorb them and capture them. It's really, really cool. And that's like a cool dynamic of the game. Some people did complain, like looking at the reviews, some people complained that like that aspect of the game wasn't as well like developed out. But that just shows that people really appreciated that aspect of it, I feel.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, definitely. If there are small criticisms, it just shows that that it really resonated with them.
Exactly.
So, that's awesome, man. Number 10.
Number 10.
All right, on to number 9, man. So this game, I'll just come out and say this game is Minute.
Okay. Minute.
So we talked about this a little bit on, I think it was actually the last episode of our season 2, and I kind of just talked about the game. I mean, there's really not much to it. It's actually the shortest game on my list. It takes you about 1 to 2 hours to play through the whole game, but I just loved it. I loved the whole thing. I loved the length. I loved that it's only a 1 to 2 hour experience, and I loved just the whole gameplay, and it was just so fun and creative. Like, it's fun to explore, and it's just so clever. And so what this is, it's a black and white, top-down, isometric, pixel art style action game. And what makes it so cool is you're kind of just like exploring it like you would like one of the old school Zelda games. And then you pick up the sword. And it's a cursed sword. That's what it is. So you pick up the cursed sword, and from then on, there's 59 seconds in the top of the screen. And then it's counting down. 58, 57, 56, 55. And then when you get to 1, actually, when you get to 10 seconds, it gives you there's a sound cue. It's like the last 10 seconds just feel epic. And then you die, and then you're back in your house. And as soon as you're back in your house, it starts again. 59, 58, 57. And that's how you have to play the entire game. You have to play this game in minute increments. And it's just so cool. I just think it's such a clever, game design. Just the aspect of it is just so cool. Because, everything is in a minute. And I just absolutely love that. Because everything is so short, it really is, all killer, no filler. There's no moment in it where you're questioning what you're doing or what's going on. You're truly trying to, speed run as fast as you can, get to the next thing.
I see.
I just talked to this person. It took me 40 seconds to talk to this person, but now I know where to go next. And then you're just sprinting across this pixel world, and it's just so fun. And you would think that because the time frame is so, I guess, short, you feel like it might get stressful, but it never does. It's beautiful. I just absolutely loved it, and I would truly recommend it to anyone, especially if you're nostalgic for those older games or an older experience. Or if you've never experienced a retro title before and want to kind of see the the ethos of that game design. This is a very accessible way to play those, kind of retro experiences. And I think that, in this past year, I've checked out a lot of older games. I've just been inspired
you have.
Yeah, I've just been inspired to check out things that have come before. So I've had some experiences where, like, the creators of something I loved were like, oh, I was inspired by this as a kid. And then I'm like, well, I can go play that. Let me play that.
Right.
And this, I think, is just so incredible because it really speaks to, like, the clever and fun game design of the past where they were so limited. And I think it, like, captures that ethos in a 1 to 2 hour experience. Because, like I'm playing through an older Zelda right now, and I have to, like, refer to the manual book. So I'm like, I have no idea what to do next. But this one, like, you may feel that, like, a little bit, but all the puzzles are very clever. And just because of the time frame of it, like, you're not going to get stuck up on one thing. Like, you're going to be like, oh, like, I think this is it, and that's probably it. And it's just really cool. It's a really fun experience. And, like, when you talk to the people, you have to really, like, it's an investment because you're like, this is my whole day. It's, like, 59 seconds. Right. If I spend 20 of them talking to you, that day's over. And it's just really cool. It really captures the heart and soul of that.
Yeah, I really like the premise of this game. It's like you got every second counts, literally while you're playing it. So it seems like such a cool premise to put under a game. I think it kind of leaves you, like, feeling very appreciative of time in general. Probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there was one point where I was playing it, and I was like, I'm wondering if the point of this is to tell me to do something else. You know what I mean? Because, like, it truly is, like, just amazing, like, how much you're able to do in, like, 30 minutes in this game. And then I was like, oh, shoot, like, what could I do in 30 minutes of my life? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it really does make you appreciate that. And I think that that's just incredible. Like, I think it's an incredible game, like, top to finish. It's only, like, $5. So it's a no-brainer. And I think I talked about it in our episode about it. I just loved, like, the derpy art style of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, definitely at the very least, like, Google this and just see how much it is to play on, like, the platform of your choice. Because actually, it might even be on phones. I'm not sure, but
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's a very cool experience. Definitely worth checking out. Number 9, Minute.
That's one hell of a title. So I guess I'll get right into my number 9, which also starts with an M. It's going to be Minecraft.
Okay.
There were some huge updates this past year on Minecraft. Spent a lot of time trying to discover and just get back into Minecraft. I always hop in it. Like, it's like a cycle. Minecraft is like cycles for me.
Yeah.
But there were a mangrove swamps added. That's a new biome. A couple new blocks. Some new mobs. The warden was added. There was the deep dark. So they added a whole nother level to Minecraft as far as deep cave systems go.
I think we talked about that on one of our episodes.
Yeah, we did. They added vibrations to the game.
Vibrations?
Yeah, so when you break a block, there's there have always been vibrations in Minecraft, but they really kind of honed in on it because it's connected to the deep dark.
Okay.
So let's say you're nearby the warden in the deep dark and you break a block. If he hears that, he's gonna get alerted and he's gonna get after you because it's his job to protect that. And so they added that, so it's like if you break a block near water, the vibrations get muted. If you break a block near wool, like it totally mutes the vibration.
So you have to like place wool around things.
Yeah, just to break certain things so that the warden doesn't get alerted to your presence.
Oh man!
While you're exploring down there, yeah, man,
that's crazy.
It's dope. It's awesome. I've always been a huge fan of survival mode in Minecraft, and to see me still playing this game like years after its initial release is like, I think it speaks to just the design of the game. Like, I think the game is so well designed that like eventually it'll still be around and we'll kind of just forget who made Minecraft. Like, it'll just be a thing that's just like there, and I think it's very powerful. Like, that speaks to good design. When something is designed really well, you kind of just forget like who made it, like who made the paid like the street, like who made those things. We don't know. We just use them because they're really useful to us.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what Minecraft is like to me.
Yeah. I think it's so awesome that they continue to add, these like mechanics and these updates where they just add more tools to the world.
Yeah.
Because when you're in, a world like this, when they add a tool, like it just adds like infinite possibilities of like things you can do. Yeah. And like a lot of times that translates to situations where you can have a lot of fun, but also like adding vibrations, you know what I mean? Like that added, obviously they added the warden as well, but like instead of like doing something that's been like completely mundane this whole experience, crafting, or I'm sorry, like breaking blocks to get things to craft later, because of that, adding that, now you have this tension, where it's like if the warden hears you, he's going to come after you. But you also like they had the tools wool, like that's been in the game since day one, and that's that's the tool to use to get around that. Exactly. I think that's really cool, and I think that really speaks to it.
How it kind of like all gets connected, and like it's really, really awesome, and I love Minecraft.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Number 9. All right, number 8. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, so my number 8 is Citizen Sleeper.
Okay.
And we talked about this in episode 58. So shout out to that episode. I'm not really going to talk about anything new, but man, I just absolutely love this game. This game like opened my eyes to what games can be. And this game is like a strategy role-playing game. It's like part graphic novel, and it also like every action that you do is performed with a dice roll. Like you do the dice roll, like you click a button to do the dice roll, but that kind of shows the success or fail of an outcome. And I think it's like really cool. I think it's like an awesome story. It's in a great setting. It's really like cool, bleak sci-fi world, and it has a story to tell about humanity and raises questions about AI ethics and ownership of your body and mind. And I just thought it was incredible. I thought it was an incredible experience. In episode 58, I really talked about this memorable experience that I had with the game, so go check that out. I don't think I'd be able to recreate it here, so definitely go check that out. But it was just like this crazy encounter that I had in this video game, and I think it's just going to stick with me forever, because it was just wholly unique, and I just thought it was so cool. I love the art style, love everything about it, but I really think that our other episode about it really speaks to why the game is so special. So go check that one out. I'm excited to play more of this in the coming year. But it's a lot of reading, so because like you have to read a lot of the elements of it. But I think that because of that, when you read, you get to imprint your own, like, I guess it's more subjective to you, and you get to imprint on it. So
Citizen Sleeper, from if I'm remembering correctly from that episode, this is the game where you kind of like, there's some space left for imagination, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You can think about like kind of there is all that reading, but it's kind of also like on you to kind of like imagine this world, picture it for yourself, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They give a very like, it's like you can see, and like everything is visually represented, but it kind of just leaves like it's like the perfect middle ground where it leaves space for you to kind of imagine it on your own. And I think it's a great way, you know, for especially like as adults, you know, we don't really use our imagination as much, you know, as maybe we should, or maybe we did as kids.
Yeah.
And video games are a great way, you know, to have that, especially like the like older ones. I'm finding this is because there were so many limitations, you really had to fill a lot of things in.
Right.
And I think that this is like, what you fill in is kind of what makes it. So it's a very subjective experience, but it also it really truly does, you know, bring us some like crazy questions about AI ethics and like the ownership of your body. So if you haven't heard about this game before, like basically the basic premise is you play as a sleeper who essentially is an artificial intelligence, like an AI, but in order to be created, like a human had to scan their mind, and then like that scan of the mind became the AI.
I see.
But there's like another layer to it, whereas like the AI, although they're conscious, the way that they were scanned is that there's a corporation that like owns the proprietary technology, and like a person had to sell a copy of their mind to that corporation.
Okay.
And then like this, so like basically you like sell a version of yourself to a corporation who is, and then it's like then that person's like an indentured servant, and their body and mind, I guess, are owned by the corporation. And then there's like like planned obsolescence in the body, so like you have to get like a certain serum in order to survive. And like the game's just all about just trying to survive day to day as the sleeper.
Wow.
And it's pretty bleak at times, but it's really interesting. So go check out episode 58 where we talked about that, because I think we did a great job.
I'm remembering that episode because it was a little more recent, and I really enjoyed just hearing about this game, and like now thinking about it, like it's definitely gives you a lot to think about. Like I remember we were having on that episode kind of just some commentary of kind of like what we could take away from that title, and I thought
definitely
that's definitely something the creators had in mind when they were making this. So
well, it's funny you mention that. It's a single creator, so it's one. I guess
that's even more interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That leaves more space for like this person. Obviously, it took them a long time, so they really had time to like you know ponder over those things and
it's really cool.
Make it as good as it is. So go check out that episode 58. It's awesome.
I think we might have to do some more of his stuff in the future. I don't remember his name offhand, but it's Citizen Sleeper. You'll be able to find the creator. Yeah. And I actually bought his first game, so maybe we'll talk about that at a later date. Yeah. Number 8.
So my number 8 is going to be a title that means a lot to me, actually. You know, I get compared to this character, this protagonist a lot. People say I look a lot like him. It's going to be Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Okay. That's awesome, man.
One hell of a game. You know, you basically play as you know, a young Spider-Man who is being mentored by Peter Parker. And, you know, it's a coming-of-age story, but it's also much deeper than that. It's a great story. I'd recommend everyone play Spider-Man Miles Morales. You know, just from, like, swinging through the streets to, like, you know, beating up bad guys. These are really just an insane title. And I see myself playing this 5 years from now. Like, it's just a title I can pick up any time and just have a good time with, so... I really enjoyed this game.
Dude, that's so funny that I mean, I guess it's not funny, but it's funny you bring it up now, because I was literally thinking about this game last week. And I was like, I am so excited to play this. And I've had it since, I think it was one of the first PlayStation titles.
Yeah, that you had.
Yeah, I played it for an hour, and I kind of bounced off of it.
Yeah.
But just because there were, I mean, I got like so many games when I first got my PlayStation. There's so many things I wanted.
You have a lot of games in general, Blake.
Well, I do. I really need to finish some of them.
Don't we all? We do.
But man, I just like what I love about this game is it's New York in the wintertime. And it's just, I mean, like we're in New York right now, obviously.
Headed to the wintertime, and it kind of.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play this game this winter. Like this is I actually got it out of the closet. I was like, I have the physical disc. I'm like, I can't wait to boot this up. I mean, I think as soon as the first snow falls, you're gonna catch me playing Miles Morales.
See you on Miles Morales online.
I can't wait, man. Especially like Miles is such a cool character. And he's a cool Spider-Man because he has like this yellow electric ability. Like he's like, oh my gosh, who shoots lightning? Oh, he's like an Emperor Palpatine Spider-Man.
That's a funny way to put it. Yeah,
but he's like, I don't know. He's a good guy, so
he's awesome. He's my favorite Spider-Man, and really, really enjoy this iteration of it because it is kind of like a build on the original Spider-Man game where you play as Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a DLC, if you will, because it's not as many hours as the original Peter Parker story is.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like I think it's only like 30 hours as opposed to like 60 on the Peter Parker. But it's like you can tell this is kind of like a love story to that version of Spider-Man, which is really popular in the comics. Like, you know, I'm actually thinking about getting some Miles Morales comics. You know, I'm not really a huge comic person, but I think it'd be nice to have some of those.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, man, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, definitely playing some more of that. We'll probably talk about it more on the pod. We'd love to stream some of that.
Oh, that would be really fun.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it when there's a piece of media that makes you like want to branch out and like consume like the same thing in other places.
Yep.
Like that really just speaks to it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. It's Miles Morales.
Number 8.
All right, we're moving on to number 7. And dude, I'm super excited to talk about this one because this was on your Game of the Year list last year.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm just super excited. My number 7, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Oh wow, that's insane. That's awesome, bro. I can see why you'd put that on your list. It was a good game. I was actually talking to one of my coworkers about it recently, and he was like let down. He was like, "It's hardly a remake." Like he was talking a bunch of crap about it, but in the back of my mind, I was like, "Dude, I love that game. Like that game is it's a good title."
Yeah, it's a great title, man, and I can see his frustration with it. You know what I mean? And I've thought so much about this game. Like this came out in November of last year. Like I can't deny like my save file. Like truthfully, my save file is 72 hours, and I've had like so much fun with this. Which honestly, that's not really that bad for a Pokemon game.
Not compared to Sword and Shield. It's not.
Yeah, I don't even want to say like, what that save file is.
Go to our earlier episodes, and you'll know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. Yeah. I guess that's the mark of a true Sticky Buttons fan is how many hours does Blake have in his Sword and Shield.
You got to put that in the trivia.
But yeah, I can see where like his frustration is because it is like a remake, and it's not really a remake. It's kind of like a re-release with new features, and I can see where people would be frustrated with that. And I guess this is where I'm going to come from on this is if all it was just a port, like if all it was they took it and they put it available on Switch, I think that's a win because you get the game like as it existed and you get to like play it on like the Switch, like a modern console, and you get to play it on a TV.
Yeah. And
I think that they did so well of capturing the heart and soul of it that when you play it, you're like, this is kind of the same. But I have the cartridge on DS, and if you go back and look at it, like it's drastic. But they did such a good job of like capturing, the heart and soul of it.
The basic elements of it.
Yeah, I think they really just captured the soul of the game.
Yeah.
And they did some really great things. Like you can customize your outfits. you can customize your balls. Like you can put stickers and like have effects when your Pokemon come out, and cool. That's really a really cool feature. And your Pokemon follow you around, and I just love that. I love when a Pokemon can follow you around. It's a return to the 2D isometric view, which I personally had been missing in Pokemon games, and it's just way cuter. It's so beautiful. It enhances the visuals, and I love the art style. And it truly it's like saved it in a way. Like it took it as it existed and like enhanced it so you can experience it in a new way. Yeah. And like all of the places and like the world that you get to explore, like that's all preserved in like a better visual style that I think is better and more timeless. And I've just spent so much time in this place as like a kid, and now I get to experience it again in an updated version. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. It's amazing that, I like the word you use, they saved it. You know, they preserved this this world, right, that we really appreciated. And I mean, for me, it was right after Hoenn, you know, so getting introduced to this new Sinnoh region, I mean, it was really exciting to me, and seeing that nostalgia still come back to me, you know, it meant a lot. But one of the main critiques that, you know, my colleague had said was that there wasn't the platinum port. Like, they didn't bring platinum, which is like, platinum was so cool, man. I really did enjoy that, like, extra story in the upside down world. That would have been really so cool. Sick to see on the Switch. But, you know, my rebuttal to that was, you know, it's a Pokemon company, and they could always bring that, you know, they could always make that happen. He was very skeptical of that, because it makes sense that they would do, you know, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, but maybe they do kind of like a Legends Arceus Platinum, kind of imagine that, like, that would be cool. World. I think they would play well, because, you know, the world would be really cool to experience from that lens. But, you know, there's so much they could do. You know, at the end of the day, this is their franchise. You know, they take it, they have their vision for it. And I really appreciated BDSP. And I mean, I'm not gonna give a spoiler, but this game was also on my list too. So it's insane that you brought it up, man. It's all right. Number 7 for Blake. It's awesome.
That's awesome, man. But yeah, I mean, like, it would be very cool to see some of those platinum features, but I don't necessarily think that, although it would be cool, I don't think it's necessary, because what they did essentially was they made it endless. And what I mean by that is the gameplay of it, you know, being endless, I think really like I said, preserves the game. But it also, like, the gyms are replayable, so you can go and refight the gym leaders, which I think is awesome. They added the underground, and there's just so much to do in the Grand Underground. And I guess to what you had said about the Upside Down, you can go into the Upside Down in this game, and you can fight Giratina. Really? Yes. The problem is I haven't done it myself. I found out that you can do this, and I don't necessarily, I don't know how to do it really. But I think so. In the Grand Underground, you can mine for these, like, mystery shards.
Oh, okay, I've gotten some.
Yeah, so I think that I don't know where, I think it might be the PAL Park. I think if you take the mystery shards, I don't know, I don't remember exactly where it's at, but I think if you take them to the PAL Park, you can exchange them for a cartridge, like a Game Boy-esque cartridge, and then I think you can take that and put it in a shrine, and then it gives you the ability to fight a legendary Pokemon.
I see.
So I think that's how they do it. Maybe I think that we should check that out. I mean, obviously if it's on my list, if it's on your list for this year. Yeah. You know, it was on your list for last year too. It was your number 2 last year. So I think it might have been your number 1 last year. I don't remember.
Know, it could have been my number 1, yeah.
I think it might have been. I guess I don't remember. But anyways, I think that it's something that we'll talk about in the future, because they really, you know, kind of preserve this game. And
yeah, they did.
I think it's awesome that, you know, we can still talk about it today and enjoy it as well.
Me too. Number 7.
Number 7.
BDSP.
BDSP.
Well, my number 7 is going to be a game that, you know, is very near and dear to me. I play it a lot. I'm playing it a lot this year too, but just a different version of it. It's NBA 2K22.
Okay.
I played a lot of that last year. Got really familiar with some of the different game modes. My team, my career, my league, just playing through 2K is always fun for me. You know, ever since I started playing. I think I started with 2K12. So, man, it's really come a long way. The franchise has come a long way from where it was back then, and still being able to, you know, come together with friends and enjoy it the way I do just means the world to me, that they are able to keep providing this experience. And yeah, it's really fun. Just play with the latest roster, get to know some of my favorite players better as far as like how they play. Getting to build in my career as a player, that aspect is always fun. Seems like it's not going to get old for me because I'm playing a lot more of that this year too in 23. So yeah, number 7.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, let me ask you this: just because there's a new one out, you know, obviously you're playing a lot of 2K23. Can you go back to this? Like, do you go back to this? Is it something that you would recommend, or would you always recommend getting the new one?
Well, personally, like I could definitely see myself going back to it, you know, to like play with my team that I had developed, or to, you know, see some of the things on my player that I really liked and see what I can pull to like this year. But personally, I just delete the game after, because I know kind of what I'm doing. You know, I have a vision that's bigger than like 2K22, 2K23. Like, I know my play style. I know. So it's in that sense, like, yeah, it is what it is. This is something I was thinking about the other day. It's just that whole business model of like a new game every year. Is, you know, it is troublesome. But at the end of the day, it has allowed this franchise to survive for so long. And it has allowed them to continue to give us this experience consistently. And like, you know, it's only growing. I don't know if you heard, but like 2K competitively, like, dude, they pay, like, that's full-time jobs for people. Some people like play 2K full-time because some of those prizes are like $1 million prizes for these tournaments. Dang. It's insane. And yeah, these people just really love 2K. I think it's always interesting how like this whole, like, a whole world can spawn from, you know, just somebody said like, hey, let's simulate the NBA, like, and now we have this. So
people are pros at it, man.
Yep.
They decided not to get sweaty on the court, and they got sweaty on the sticks.
That was my kind of. I know your philosophy of it is like, I'd rather get out there and actually shoot the hoops.
Well, I don't know, man. That's kind of how I felt, but you've really sold me on 23. Yeah. And I think that I might try and pick that up in a used format just to try it out.
Yeah.
Like, buy the used disc just so I can kind of see, because I don't know. I mean, like, if you're enjoying it, like, just seeing how much you enjoy this, like, it's kind of infectious, but also, like,
yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but there's been some sports games that I kind of wrote off as like a genre, and then I've been kind of getting into some. So I think that there's something to it, because like video games, like I guess when I moved to New York, I started playing more games than I ever did. Yeah. And I think it's because like where I was in the Midwest, there was just so much space, and I had so much access to do all of these physical activities, and
there was no incentive. Like, you were it's kind of silly for you to just stay home all day when you could just go do something really fun. Like,
yeah, especially,
that was actually really satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when the barrier to entry was just like getting in your car and driving to the place that takes 20 minutes, you know what I mean? And here, you know, in the city, I feel a lot more like physically isolated, you know, from a lot of these things. But like, I can't necessarily like go out and go kayaking. I can't go out and, you know, go play golf or like do these things that I really enjoy. And I'm trying to find ways to do that. You know, I say I can't go kayaking, but there are like kayaking clubs that I've like looked up. I mean, I don't really live near any of them, but they do have them in Manhattan.
I've seen them, but along the Hudson River Greenway, I think.
Yeah.
And like kayak and.
Yeah, I guess it's free too, so I guess I'll have to look into that. I'll have to report back. But I mean, video games are kind of like a simulation, you know, in a way too, or like an analog to, you know, our physical activities and our physical mind. And I think that maybe, you know, I've written it off, and I think that, you know, I mean, you just talking about it so passionately is just very infectious, and I think it's opened my eyes a little bit to what it can be.
And I've learned so much more about the game of basketball just by playing this game, like playing, you know, being able to like rub shoulders with people who are like do this for a living and like really know the game from a different like angle has helped me tremendously in real life. You know, playing the game in person, you know, I just have better basketball IQ on the court. I know what shots to take, what shots not to take. Kind of have a better idea of how like personally I like to play, how I get the most fun playing the game. So it's really improved my relationship with the sport. Now I'll just like go and just shoot, like I'll shoot around for fun, like just because I want to get like my jump shot down, because like I'll try to copy what I do in the game, because in the game I've learned that like I time my jump shot right above my forehead. If I release right above my forehead, it's going to go in every single time. So I've been kind of trying to do that in real life with my shot, and it actually does help. Just seeing like you can shoot without a shot meter in the game just by looking at your guy's form, and it kind of teaches you like what your form should kind of look like when you're shooting as well. And it's really helped me. It's helped me gain weight too. Like I'm not going to the court and playing like a bunch of games when I could have like stayed inside and simulated these games and picked up this like a lot more IQ and learned a lot more about the game. In that sense, it's really helped me. So I love 2K. And I see myself playing this game a lot. It's really brought me a lot of joy, especially this year, man. I'm sure you see me. I'm just a 2K.
Yeah, dude. Every time I get on the PlayStation app, it's Brandon playing 2K, man.
Yeah, man. I love that game. So 2K22, they did their thing last year. This year is probably even better. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. I just gotta say, when just hearing you talk about this, it's truly been so infectious, and I haven't had a chance to tell you, but when you got 2K, and you know, you kind of mentioned my previous stance on like I'd rather just go play some basketball. I put my money where my mouth is, and I bought a basketball.
That's good.
And I've been playing for months, man. Like, whenever I work from home, I'll just like go in the morning, spend 20 minutes before work, and like sometimes I'll go after work, you know, for 20 minutes, and like it's really helped me, you know, kind of just like I guess discover activity in my like space.
Yeah.
But also like it's just so fun. Like I liked basketball, but I now have like such a broader appreciation for it.
Yeah.
And like I also think like I played it as a kid, but like I have never really played it as like an adult in my body. You know what I mean? Like I started like shooting shots, and I was like, geez, I haven't done this since I was like in like YMCA league. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just like I've got like this drill that I run every time I get on the court. Like I've got like a system, like, and I've like met some people doing it as well. And it's like it's been a great experience for me, like in my life personally. So I probably wouldn't have done that without you, man. So I just wanted to say,
oh man,
like,
that means a lot.
Like thank you, man. Like it truly it's been infectious. Like I guess like it's just a way like you talking about 2K. It's just like brought something else to my life.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that, man.
That's really interesting. Yeah, 'cause that's something I've done my whole life, being a city dweller, if you will, like just getting on the court and shooting around. But it's something I take for granted, you know. As someone who like is adapting to living here, and to see you kind of pick up on that, I mean, that means the world to me. Of who knows, like the wonders that'll do on your mental health. Just being able, I know what it's done for me, like just to go and shoot some hoops. Like it's very small, but it can really help. So.
Absolutely, man. And yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like a 10-minute walk from me, you know, there's like 10 courts.
Yep. And
like that just says all there is, you know, to it right there. Like it's so accessible to do that, and it's like something that I might not have done if I don't know, I guess just because basketball was never really a part of my life, so
Yeah. And
it is now. So
something you mentioned too, like doing it in your adult body, like kind of can feel weird, especially when like you watch the sport and you see these like huge, like amazing specimens do it on the court. It kind of feels like a little wrong in a sense, to not be able to like perform as well as they do. But I don't know. It's just. I think it's more motivating than anything to get out there and just push your body and try to like you know, do some of those things that you can like do in the game, like to make shots like that, like to hit a fadeaway like you would in the game is like it's so rewarding. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been fun, and like I guess not to get too much into this, but like when I first started, like I struggled, like I'd miss like every shot that I would like truly, like I remember this one time, like my first time getting out, I was like on the verge of tears, and I'm like, I'm not leaving this spot until I can make this shot. And like last night I just hit like 4 or 5 of that shot, like just in a row, and it just feels good, like just to see how far I've come, and like I just love that, man. So like that's all because of you, man.
Awesome.
And your passion for 2K.
Number 7, 2K.
All right, so we're back in it. Number 6, man. Number 6 for me is Eastward.
Ooh, Eastward. I remember you spoke a lot about this game. You gave this game a lot of high praise. That episode is a great episode. I really recommend you listen to it if you haven't already. I'm excited to hear about it, man. Eastward. I know you love this title.
Yeah, so I mean, we've talked about this extensively. So now I'm kind of just going to talk about it from just like where it's at today, and like how, I guess, like who this is for. And I guess I'll just get out and say, like, I think this is an underrated indie gem, and like, dude, it is just painstakingly crafted and like just the most beautiful world, and I would recommend it to anyone. I think like truthfully, like in this world like that we live in, there's a lot of like indie games are starting to like have more popularity.
Yeah.
You know, AAA titles, it's starting to take longer and longer to create these larger experiences. And, you know, this game is, I think it's like $25, and it's like a 30 to 40 hour game, you know, depending on how, like what your play style is. And I think that there's just so much space for this kind of game in anyone's repertoire. And, like, I said, like, it was painstakingly detailed. Like, this has just been crafted with so much love, man. Like, there's, like truthfully, like, I am just, like, amazed and astounded time and time again by how beautiful this world is, and, like, how beautiful, like, something is, and, like, how much detail there is.
Yeah.
And then I'll get through it, and I'll be like, I can never come back here. Like, I saw that once. And, like, there's so many things where it's, like, the game just pushes you forward. And, like, it is very linear, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that it really aids it in this instance. But, like, I just cannot help but just be, like, blown away by the, like, how beautiful it is and how much, like, detail has gone into this. And then just, like, to realize, like, a human made this, or a team of human made this, or a team of human made this.
A team of humans.
Thank you. And it's just, I don't know, it's just like a love letter, and I just love that. It's just crafted with so much love.
I think you were mentioning the episode that this team, there were a lot of delays for them, and it took like, didn't they take like a really long amount of time to put this out?
I think this has been in development for a long time. I'm not really too sure on the timeline. You know, it's something that you can look up. You know, actually, I think that, funny enough, I did some Googling on this. It's a lot of really cool articles have been written about this. So honestly, like, if you haven't seen what the art of this game is, like, look that up first, and then maybe read some articles. And I think there was one that was, I don't know how this really happened, but like at the time when I looked it up, it was on like Red Bull's official website. So I don't know, maybe they like licensed this, or like maybe Red Bull was trying to get into video games journalism or something, but they just had this like great article and it talked about like the development of this game. And it's developed by a team of people from China, and it's just such a cool, I guess, experience, because it just feels like, for me as a person that's like lived in the US, you know, my whole life, I live in New York now, but I grew up in the Midwest, like it just feels so exotic, but it's also like so warm and heartfelt and like beautiful that it's really homey. And it, like, just being in this place and existing in this video game is just such a pleasant experience that I'd recommend it to anyone.
Eastward.
Yeah, and there's like great puzzles, like good gameplay, like it's an isometric adventure game, and it, like, you have to be like clever, but it's also like it's just fun, and you get like great power-ups as the game progresses. Like, it's kind of a, I guess, an RPG out of, you know, that part of the world, and I think that it's really cool that we can experience that, you know, I mean, there's so much there, and just because of the nature that it is an indie title, like, it's not as expensive, and I think I think it's just a no-brainer for anyone to pick up.
Eastward, man, I gotta pick that up, dude, because I remember how passionate you were, and just to see it, like, just still resonating with you. So, like, I think it speaks to the title. Like, it seems to be a really good one, and that almost anyone can play it. I think that speaks kind of to, like, the function, the design of it. You know, it's so well designed that
it actually,
anyone could pick it up.
It's kind of like old school kind of design, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't want this to turn anyone off, but there are a lot of like fetch quests in a way. So, like, there's a lot of times where you have to, like, go talk to somebody, and then, like, they'll give you an item or whatever, and then you'll come back, and, like, that's kind of it. Mm-hmm. But if you're ever feeling, like, if you play this game, like, don't get frustrated by that. Like, just do that and then take a step away. Like, I think that this game is great in, like, taking it in small chunks. Because it's like I said, like, the world's so beautiful, like, it's very rich. So I guess kind of treat it like rich food. Like, you can't have too much of it at once. Like,
I see.
I think it's really better just spaced out. And oh my gosh, I just love this game. So Eastward.
Man, what a title. It's hard to follow that, but my number 6 is gonna also be a sports game, simulation game. It's gonna be MLB The Show.
Okay.
Man, I really enjoyed that game. Picking it up, the disc version was really worth it. One, because it didn't take up space on my PS5, which has like no storage, and two, because it's just really fun to hop into at any time. Like, I'm feeling kind of a baseball mood. Baseball is just another one of those sports I played. I was introduced to it like really early on in my life, and you know, my great grandpa still listens to the Yankees on the radio anytime they play. Like, it's this thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm connected to this sport in ways that I can't really understand. That's why I have so much fun with it. And like playing MLB, you can just hop in, you can pitch. The pitching is so like intuitive, and it's just really fun to like try to strike someone out. And then, you know, as far as the batting goes, it's also really rewarding. It's not that simple because there's a lot of like little nuances that go into it, but once you like figure it out and you get it to click, it becomes like really easy to just hit things in a certain direction you want to hit them, and you know, hit home runs. It's cool to see, like, kind of again with like simulation games and how they allow us to connect to a sport or something from a different perspective. Just seeing like what goes into pitching and like all the different types of like
different pitches
I can throw, and like, you know, the stances,
like the changeup,
fastball, the changeup, the fastball, screwball, knuckleball. You know, there's the sinker. There's things that I've never even seen before, and as well as batting, like just seeing like, you know, there's a lot more options a hitter could have than I initially thought, and just like the IQ that goes into that is really cool, and it gives another perspective when I'm watching the game. And man, this is another sport that I really enjoy watching, and this game like really captures that. When you're playing it, you kind of feel like you're in a baseball game that you're watching on TV. They really do capture that with the announcing and, you know, the lighting, the graphics, I think really add on to it. So MLB The Show, I have a great time with this. I definitely see myself playing this in the future. And an interesting thing of The Show, it's not one of those like iteration games that they make every year. I think The Show is one of those games they make every couple years.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I do remember playing it like maybe once or twice as a kid, but like having it again is just like bringing back that nostalgia and bringing back that appreciation for this sport. I was trying to go to a baseball game with you this season, but
we
ended up not making it happen.
Yeah, didn't quite make it work.
Next season.
Yeah, there's always next season. But man, you'll have to refresh my memory. Do you play as one character? Like, do you like make a rookie, kind of like my career in NBA, or is it like, do you play as like all of the characters on the field?
You could do that. You could do like a career there. Like, you would have a baseball player and play their specific career. I personally don't find that much satisfaction from that. Playing that. I have MLB is just one of those games where I have more fun just playing online against somebody and just like putting up my team, putting up the Mets against whatever, and just seeing like where it goes, simulating the Mets versus someone, and just having that, like, learning more about my team specifically, about the players, and it's
that's really awesome. And they kind of, the roster's like up to date. Every
it's
week.
it's always up to date.
That's
Any
really
injuries,
cool.
anything, like it's an active roster, which you could turn off, right? You could, if you wanted to, you could have a dream team. You know, you could compose your, what the Mets, you want the Mets to look like, and put them up against the active roster.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
That's really awesome.
Number 6.
Cool. Number 6, MLB The Show. It's on everything, man. You're playing it on PS5, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm playing it on the P5.
I think it's on the Switch. Do you think it could run on the Switch?
It could definitely run on the Switch. Yeah, might not. The graphics card on the Switch might not run it the best, because the graphics on that game are really nice. Like, That's something I like about the PS5, how it runs that. Like, it visualizes that. Like, I just love just batting. Like, it just... might do it right now when I get home. Just get on there and just bat it a little bit.
So can you change, like, what stadium you're playing at? Like, could you play, like, the Mets at, like, the Wrigley Field in Chicago? Or would you have to be playing, like, Mets against Chicago at Wrigley Field?
Yeah, you would have to... You can change, like, the stadium, but you'd have to have, like, the two respective teams.
Okay.
Like, yeah, but you'd be able to, like, historically change the stadium, the uniforms.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is really cool.
So you could play as, like, 1920s, like, Mets uniforms?
I haven't seen uniforms that old.
Okay, so it's just like
but
60s.
They do have, like, they have the, like, popular ones, like the ones they know like are really, like, fan favorites. Okay. I guess they probably just look at the sales of the jerseys that, like, really did well. Yeah. And put those up and for the teams. It's probably easier to do.
And is this game, like, is it live service? I know that they, like, have, like, the active roster, but, like, are they gonna, like, keep supporting that active roster next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. MLB, they stay up to date. And I think there's another baseball game that drops every year. I can't remember the name, but...
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, number 6.
The
show.
Hey, this is Kyle from Season 3 of the Sticky Buttons podcast, and my game of the year for 2022 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I highly anticipated this game prior to its release, and since I've gotten to play it, it's exceeded my expectations in just about every way. From regular multiplayer to Warzone 2 and the new DMZ mode, there's just so much to do. I've already put in countless hours into the game, and it's barely even been out. It's a fun game to play with your friends and squad up against other teams. I'd highly recommend it to anyone, even those that maybe haven't played COD before. This game is constantly evolving, so I'm looking forward to playing this one for a long time. Again, just wanted to thank Brandon and Blake for having me on the podcast.
And we are back from our break.
That we didn't announce, but we're back.
And I'm going to get right into it. Number 5.
You sure you don't want to talk about anything else? Like, how do you feel? How are you feeling at this moment? I guess not to distract you.
I'm really stoked. I feel like I'm in the middle of a hill right now, and I know that, like, I need to get up some more before I can go back down. But that's kind of where I feel like I'm kind of excited to keep climbing.
All right, well, let's get right into it.
Talk about number 5, which is a game you already mentioned. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. That's number 5 awesome. On my list, man.
I love to hear that that's on your list, man.
Yeah, and I've played, it's actually 2 games because I've played both Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
And I, thoroughly enjoyed both titles. I had a really good time playing through both of them. I still have a lot to do. I haven't officially beat Cynthia yet. Which is like...
Once you become champion, man.
Yeah, and I still have to see all 150 Pokemon, which is pretty cool. You don't have to catch them all. You just have to see them.
And that's how you unlock the national dex.
That's how you unlock the national dex and can keep playing in the game, which is, I really feel like is necessary to get the full experience of BDSP. You need that, like, post-game stuff, so I'm really trying to get into that.
Yeah, I think you have to, in order to do that, I think you have to fight every trainer and every trainer, and you have to fight every person, like all of the trainers inside of the gym challenge in order to see everyone. Damn. So, like, if you skip anyone, you might have to, like, catch a wild Pokemon.
Yeah, I might have to go back and bring out the old Versus Seeker and look for people I haven't already battled.
Yeah.
Which, is probably part of it. Just going back, trying to explore the world once more, finding some more Mons.
Yeah, definitely.
And just having a great time. This blast from the past, like we were talking about earlier, the Sinnoh region being right after Hoenn.
Mm-hmm.
And, being my kind of fresh slate in this Pokemon world, if you will. And just having a really good time. I think my first time around ever playing in the Sinnoh region in Pokemon Pearl, I ended up going with Turtwig.
Mm-hmm. That's a great... What's their final evolution?
Torterra.
Oh my gosh.
Man, this man has like a whole landscape on his back. Like, it's just awesome.
Such a sick Pokemon.
He's such a cool Pokemon. He has such a, like, cool face too. Like, in the end, it's like a mean face. It's nice. But then I went with Empoleon with my I think I got Pearl, Pokemon Shining Pearl, my first go at it. So Empoleon was my starter there, and now with Diamond, Chimchar. So I've tried all 3 starters. I gotta say, Blake, I think Infernape is my favorite one out of all of them. He's just such a cool starter, super fast.
Infernape is awesome.
That fire typing is just like just absolutely melts.
Especially
because I think like most common types are like grass, just so happen to be like grass types. Just so happen to be like a bit of steel in there.
This generation in particular is very notorious. I think that if you don't pick the fire starter, there's only 3 other fire Pokemon in the whole, like, 150 original Pokédex of Sinnoh.
Yeah, so you're
really kind of putting yourself, if you don't pick Chimchar, you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I think there's Torterra, I think there's Magnemar, and then I think you can get...
Wait, Torterra is Torterra's not a fire type.
It's the fire tortoise. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The fire...
Torkoal.
Torkoal.
Oh my gosh, that's that Pokemon.
He's cool. I like him.
So yeah, you can get him, or I think you can get Houndoom too.
Torkoal is actually a Hoenn Pokemon. This is actually cool how that works. It's like a little Hoenn Pokemon makes a debut, and he was really popular too because in the anime, Torkoal was used by Ash.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
He was like this very like resilient Pokemon. Like Torkoal didn't know how to back down. Like he wanted to keep fighting in the anime, so I could see why he was like popular and probably brought back. But yeah, it's a really cool region. I really enjoyed the Sinnoh region, the Grand Underground, like we were talking about earlier. Pretty mysterious.
Yeah, they added so much there.
I've still yet to do. I think about it a lot. I've yet to do the Spirit Tomb thing, like aspect of the Grand Underground.
Yeah, I don't even know how to do that. I think I might
you know
just.
What I'm talking about, right? Like you gotta.
I think there's a special like way and you can get Spirit Tomb, but you can also do, which you can also do to get your national decks. Because it's linked to Pokemon Home now, you could just bring those Pokemon in.
Or you could just bring Spiritomb or any Pokemon I'm missing for that matter.
Yeah.
To get my national decks.
That would probably be the easiest, which I think is pretty cool that they do that.
That's actually really dope.
Yeah.
Because I have them somewhere.
Yeah. It's really awesome that they have this like Pokemon Home and you can really like bring your Pokemon from other generations into the one that you're currently playing. And I think that's awesome. I think that's so cool that they do that. And that's an aspect that we didn't really touch on. We talked about it earlier. But it really just makes it so that you can have the Pokemon, continue on with you. And, they're with you for longer because of Pokemon Home, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. You gotta love Pokemon Home. It's such a cool feature. You can bring everything with you, and now you kind of have like it kind of incentivizes you to complete the Pokédex now because it's like,
yeah,
you complete it in one game. Yeah, I think we were talking about this in a prior episode. You complete one, like in Sword and Shield, for example, you completed the Pokédex fully there. So now any Pokemon that you might need, for a fact you probably have it in Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. And like with Sinnoh, I think it has every single Pokemon prior. So if you have the full Pokédex in...
Like Kanto, like every one of those?
I think that's what the National Dex is. I think it was the last one where they had them all in. They were like 400 Pokemon is too many. And then I think for Gen 5, they added... Or they just had like a new roster and they were like, not every Pokemon is returning. And they haven't had every Pokemon return. So I think that's really cool that like you can kind of see like this is like the last... I think like the last gen where it's like the original creation and like inception of the Pokemon.
You have
like original ideas there.
Yeah, you have the original kind of Kanto,
and then Johto, and then
Hoenn, and then finally this kind of fourth iteration.
Yeah, with Bidoof, they brought us Bidoof.
They gave us Bidoof, which is kind of like the archetype of like that wild Pokemon that you're gonna run into a lot.
Just like the rat Pokemon.
The rat.
You're just gonna defeat hundreds of Bidoofs.
Oh man, here we go bashing on poor Bidoof.
Dude, I've got a shiny Bidoof on my team, man. He was an Everstone. I'm keeping him.
You gotta keep that Bidoof. You gotta give him a nice nickname.
Yeah, he's gonna be Bidoof forever to me.
Oh man, that's funny. But yeah, man, BDSP. So number 5 on my list.
That's awesome. That's a great number 5 to have, man. And it's a great transition because my number 5 is also a Pokemon game.
Okay.
My number 5 is Pokemon Heart Gold.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. I could see that. I could totally see that being on your list.
Yeah, I absolutely love this game, man. And unfortunately, I gotta say, the only way to play this game is with the DS cartridge, which is just so expensive these days, man. Like, this past year, I had to go on a journey to find somebody on Facebook Marketplace. I had to trek my way out to Queens. And
yeah, I remember you telling me. And I felt so bad, bro, because you told me about it, and you were like, bro, you should look for yours. Like, you should really try finding yours to see, like, we could both be playing it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, had I known, I actually found it, and I found 2 copies, like, not one, but 2 copies of Pokemon Heart Gold. Could have totally sold you one of those.
Wow, I might take you up on it, man, because I think the cartridge that I paid $90 whole for. I don't know if it's gonna last forever, because sometimes I'll plug it in, and it won't read all the way. I'll have to take it out and reinsert it. And I tried to clean it, but we'll see what happens with it.
Damn, that's pretty rough. Mine, the most I'll have is I'll have the error before starting it where it tells you this is dirty, but it'll never. Yours crashes mid.
Oh well, I did actually happen to me once, but it is before it starts.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
So, I guess we'll just have to see. But I mean, that's kind of the fall of digital media. You have to physically have it in order to play it. And
yeah,
after seeing BDSP, man, I wish that they would put this game on Switch, because it's so inaccessible to get to play it. I have never played this game.
And it's a gem.
It's a gem. Yeah, let's just get right into it, man. I mean, it's just such a joy to play this game. It's an old school Pokemon game, and just because it's my first experience, going backwards, and now that I've played Sword and Shield, I was man, just craving that old school experience, and I get to go in and experience the Gen 2, and I haven't become the champion of Johto yet, but I have 7 of the gym badges. I just got Fly, and then I think there's 1 more that I need to get, but I don't think you can even get to that one until you get Fly, so I think I can just fly to that town and go down that route, and I should be able to finish off the gym challenge. So, I mean, it's truthfully just been such a joy, especially because I've had to walk everywhere, which I think in the later generations, they give you Fly a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
but
that makes you really get to know Johto and really appreciate it once you do get Fly.
Yeah, I mean, truly, it really does. And I've learned the whole I went from not really having an experience to now I know Johto the back of my hand.
The back of it, yeah, because you had to.
You have to, yeah. So it's just so awesome that I don't know, it's awesome that I was able to find this experience, because I had thought I played them all, and I hadn't. And there's another Pokemon game that is an older gen that I haven't touched either, that maybe next year I'll play that one. But it's just so much fun, because now I get to have an experience with Johto and Kanto for the first time. I haven't made it to Kanto yet, but I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get to see the original 151 in their original
glory.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the OG roster, and they have the second gen editions, and dude, this world is just so peaceful. It's so much fun to build a team.
Yeah.
And it is truthfully, it's a little bit harder. You have to really use your status effects. I can't tell you how many times people have put me to sleep and then just attacked me, and they just don't do that in the older gens.
Yeah.
You really have to know and strategize, and sometimes the gyms they'll have a meta strategy, and you really gotta
you gotta prepare for those battles.
Yeah, and it's really fun, and it's really awesome. I've just had such a great experience with it, and sometimes I'll show up to a gym and I'll be underleveled, and that is really cool to be under the level of the gym leader for the first time, and I can't tell you how long. Like, it really feels like a challenge and an accomplishment when you get through
Heart
it.
Gold was really a challenge. And now that I look back at it, like, at playing it, I didn't recognize how much of a challenge it was. I just remember being really frustrated and, like, upset that this wasn't as easy as some other games. And but overall, that made it all that more worth it when I finally got, to go battle the Kanto gyms, because that's something that's really cool about this. There are 16 gym badges. There are not just your regular 8. So you get the opportunity to go and battle all the gym leaders that you may have never gotten to learn about.
Yeah. I've never gotten to play them. I'm really excited for that aspect of it.
You get to see them in this new light, like in this kind of new colorful world. It's really dope. And, they give you, how every gym leader has, like, a story or whatever. You get to, learn. You actually do get to learn about these two. And they could tell no part of this game was rushed. This really was. Like, I think when we were talking about it in earlier episodes, we kind of highlighted that this was kind of like a love letter by the original team that kind of launched Pokemon to the Pokemon Company. And it truthfully does feel that way when you play it. And I'm so glad I still have 2 copies and a DS that functions to play it, man, because I can't tell you how fun and nostalgic it is to just play through this title that I had such a great time with.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so much fun to play, and it's so peaceful and enjoyable. And, like, I just love how the Pokemon follow you around, too.
Yeah.
Like, I've got an Umbreon, and, like, that Umbreon, like, it is just so cute, like, in its little sprite form, just following me around. And I feel like it just fits the vibe of Johto. Like, I feel like Umbreon is just such a cool Pokemon. Yeah. I've never had him on my roster before.
Eevee makes his debut in Johto, right? That's where
I think...
Is he in Kanto?
I'm not sure. I don't know if Eevee... No, actually, Eevee's in the first gen, because there's Jolteon and... Because the original... It's the... There's a Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon. Yeah, those are the first 3 in the first gen. So then they added Empoleon and Espeon.
Primary colors. They added the...
Yeah, they did.
The red, blue, yellow.
Yeah, but it's... Oh my gosh, it's so cool. So in order to evolve them into Umbreon and Espeon... Or is it
Espeon.
Yeah, Espeon. You have to have a high enough friendship. And then in order to get the Espeon, you have to evolve them in the daytime, and Umbreon you have to evolve them in the actual nighttime, like the real world nighttime. Like, the clock in this game is like, it matters what time it is, and like different Pokemon will show up on the routes like based on different times of day, which I think they've done that going forward. But it's just really cool to see it in the game where that inception was, because it feels very drastic, and it feels like a lot of thought went into it.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does, like, add another layer to the the wild, if you will, when you're try encountering these random Pokemon depending on the time of day that you're at. Definitely add some variety to it. Yeah,
it's so awesome, man. I guess my only hope is that in the next couple of years we'll be able to play this game on Switch. Like, I really hope that it gets moved forward so that we can continue to play it. And I guess that's just my hope, because it's such a good title.
Man, they gotta port that one. They gotta port Platinum. Like, there's a lot of things they gotta port.
So. Yeah, I really hope they do, and I think that BDSP might have been like a test in a way. Like, how can we get the 2-screen formula?
How will people like that? And I think they got it.
I think it works great. But also, like, with this game, this was, we're playing it on the DS, but its inception was on the Game Boy, which only had 1 screen. And I think that the second screen is just the menu screen in this one.
Right.
So I think that it truly, I think it would be a very easy one for them to move forward. But if they were, I can see why they would do BDSP first, because, like, it has, like, the touchscreen is more prevalent, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Fingers crossed, man. Such a great title. It's my number 5, Pokemon Heart Gold.
Number 5, Heart Gold. I guess I'll just move right on to
Hi, this is Andrew from the Returnal episode. It may not be a big surprise that my game of the year was Returnal. Now, I know it came out in 2021, but I did not discover it until 2022. So for me, it defined my 2022 in gaming and really changed how I looked at games. It was such innovative storytelling with such incredible mechanics. Please check out the Returnal episode where I go way into depth on it and just gush and gush and gush about this game that really impacted me so much. The games I'm looking forward to coming up, number one is the Callisto Protocol. That comes out in just a few days from when I'm recording this. And then as we get into 2023, I'm excited for Forspoken, as well as the Dead Space remake. I loved the first Dead Space, and what I've seen from this remake with the new engine and the new graphics, it's really going to be exciting. And then SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake. I think this is going to be a sleeper hit. Battle for Bikini Bottom on the GameCube really ran my whole childhood. I loved the remake. I beat it on both the Switch, and I 100%ed it on the PlayStation 4. Really excited for another great year in gaming, and excited to be a part of this podcast. If not just to talk about Returnal, it's that good. My game of the year. Thanks so much. Have a great new year.
Yep. All right, so we'll move on to the fourth title on my list, which is going to be a Pokemon game as well.
Oh my gosh.
On a bit of a Pokemon marathon here for the last
we
couple
are
of titles.
a bit of a Pokemon binge.
but this one is going to be... Can you guess which one this is?
I mean, I have a guess, man.
It's pretty much... Yeah.
I think it's the only one left.
Pokemon Legends Arceus. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, dude, that's such an awesome title, man. I'm so happy that it made it to your list.
Yeah, it's... it was kind of like... I was thinking about where to put it on the list, and I ended up going with 4. Just above BDSP, because it was just exciting, man. It was exciting. It was new. It made me think a lot about the future of the franchise and what I liked about it, already, and what I didn't like about it. And it's just, it's definitely the new frontier for Pokemon, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a very new experience, and I think that, what you said right there, what you liked and what you didn't like about it is very interesting, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later, but continue on, man.
Yeah, man, like, I fell in love with this world, just being able to interact with Pokemon in this new way that I've never interacted with them before. Put them on a big screen and be able to sneak up on them and hide from them and hope that they don't notice me so I could whack them in the head with the Pokeball and catch them off guard. It was really, really fun, like, to be able to bait them out and build out my team that way, battle out my Pokemon, increase their levels. Fill out the Pokédex in a kind of new and interesting way, which was like, having to explore the Pokemon in different ways, catch it in a different way.
Yeah, you really had to do research.
Yeah, it actually felt like Pokemon research tasks, which is in the name. I really enjoyed this world. I feel like some of the character and the story development could have been a little bit better put side out, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's a new experience, it's really what are they doing next? So it's very, I guess, like, inventive, experimental,
Yeah, it's...
maybe for the first time in a long time, and it's very fresh.
Think about how risky that is to, like, try to cater to a community that has such a high expectation, right, of, like, what they expect this title to be, and you're trying to give them something new and fresh, and, like, people were leaking things all the way through, like, I don't even remember, but, like...
Yeah, I was watching, like, before it came out, like, both with this and BDSP, like, there's so many theories and leaks that, like, they were going to be tied, and, like, because it's the same region, and, like, they're like, why are they coming out so close together? Like, this is crazy. And I think that for us, like, that was kind of the point of contention, because we were like, we like to play the whole game, like, all aspects of it, and it's kind of like, how do we play both these games that came out 2 months apart from each other?
Right.
But I think it kind of led to some burnout, but I think once we got past that, we got to experience, like, what the titles bring to the table, and this one's just so new and just leads to like so many cool Pokemon moments.
Yeah.
Like you're in an open world area, and like you truly like it's just you and the Pokemon.
It's just you and the Pokemon. At times, you know, it really feels like a Snorlax to come and body you. Like
he's gonna hyper beam you, man.
He's
You're
just
out.
gonna giga impact you all the way down to the Earth's core. Like, you know, it's at times it gets pretty gnarly out there, but that's why it's just you and your mons. So you have your friends to help you out there, and it really does feel that way in this world. So it's exciting where we're gonna head with this. You know, I think there's a Legends Arceus 2 in the works.
I don't know, man. There's been so many leaks and speculations. I really hope there is, man. Somebody. There was a fan. They made oh my gosh, I think it was Legends Celebi trailer. So it's like a fan-made Legends Celebi trailer, and it just looks absolutely insane, man. It looks like. It almost looks better than the Pokemon Legends Arceus game. But
I bet you someone that Pokemon is looking at him like, okay, we're taking that, we're taking that, we're taking that.
I hope they do, man. I really hope they do. And I think I think that, I mean, at the time it was just so new and so experimental that I'm not sure if a lot of people thought it was going to succeed.
Yeah.
So I think people like played it. They were like, oh my God, we love this. And then I think that the fans were like, we have to just like give them the idea. I don't care if like, you know what I mean? Like I think they really want the Legends series to continue, and I hope it does.
Me too. I really do hope it does because it's exciting. And there's so many ways they could take it, man. They could take it to like a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever played Mystery Dungeon.
I need to. It's on my list.
It's so much fun. And if they took Mystery Dungeon on that route, kind of like, I'm just imagining it would be really, really fun and exciting. They could take it to like a Pokemon like rescue aspect, because I know that's kind of like a series they have as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're saving Pokemon and you're like part of a rescue team. You know, you could keep it at the like regular OG, you know, 8 gym badges, go to fight at the league, just through this perspective, which is what we're kind of hoping for with Scarlet and Violet, right?
Yeah, that's the hope.
But, you know, even if we don't get it with Scarlet and Violet, just the fact that the franchise is headed in that direction, I think is really exciting, and I think
definitely
it speaks volumes to the good people we have working at the Pokemon company and how they try to cater to their community.
Yeah,
so
definitely. How crazy would it be if we got like a Pokemon Legends Celebi and a Heart Gold Soul Silver remake on Switch? Like, what if they did the same thing?
Dude, I would definitely be experiencing Pokemon burnout. It would just be Pokemon all day and every day.
Yeah, that would be the only games we would be playing. But
the only episodes you guys would get for months would be Pokemon related.
But yeah, man, I mean, it's just such a great game, and I think that one thing that I want to highlight is like when you get in the the first moments when you're let loose in this world and you have the Pokeballs and you have to like cock it back and throw it at a Pokemon, and then you catch, you know, Pokemon, like that just feels so good. Yeah. And like it really feels like an iteration of what the franchise could be, and It feels like the future, and it just feels so good. So that's so exciting, man. Exciting for us to be here and to see that
and see them deliver. You know, deliver on a concept, on an idea. It's good to see that they can do that, and we just see what the future holds.
Let's hope, man. Hope that it continues to be good. But that's number 5. Or was that your number? That was your number 4.
That was my number 4. And now we're on to your number 4.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Well, my number 4 is not a Pokemon game.
Oh man, we got a little streak going.
I know. Did we have 3 in a row there?
We had 3 in a row.
Oh, that's funny. My number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay. I could definitely see that one. I remember you talked about that one on the episode. You were really passionate about that game, like the music on the game, and the story, the element, like how the characters would just talk on their own and like interact with the world on their own. Like that was I thought that was really cool.
I really love this game, man. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit like some of the biggest marks there. Like, I guess I'll just get out and say it. I mean, I say the soundtrack to a lot of games is good, but this one's like really good. And it's like licensed music, like Star-Lord and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like they're kind of known for like having great, like awesome music. And what's really cool about this is they have that, but in like Star-Lord, I guess the main character, Peter Quill, his favorite band is Star-Lord in the comics. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how he like gets his name as Star-Lord. He like loves this band from Earth called Star-Lord. And what they did, for this game, they made a whole album by like Star-Lord the band. And they made like all this fan fiction and like it's just so cool. Or I guess maybe not fan fiction. They like
so they had the actual band Star-Lord.
They made music. A band. They like cast people to be in this band called Star-Lord. And then they had like a fake oh my gosh, what's the magazine called? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the rock magazine.
Oh, like the rock and roll magazine.
Yeah, Rolling Stone?
Rolling Stones.
Yeah, they had like an article of them in the Rolling Stone magazine, like in the game that you could find and read from Earth. And it was just so cool. Like I can't believe like how much went into that aspect of it. But it was just so cool, man. And I think that like what's really awesome about this is I'm somebody that I like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but I kind of like towards the end I was like, okay, I get it. Like he's gonna say I am Groot, and Rocket's gonna like say something snarky, and like Peter Quill's just gonna be like a lovable goofball.
Yeah. And
like come to find out that like Gamora's gonna be a badass, and oh my gosh, what's his name? Drax. Like he's not gonna understand sarcasm. Like that's gonna be the whole thing. But as you kind of go, like as I have come to discover, that is just in one interpretation of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and this video game is not like the movies at all. Like it's a totally different interpretation, and I think a lot of people, from what I found on the internet, think that this, like the Guardians of the Galaxy that are represented in this game, are more like towards what the original inception of the characters would have been. And to me, they are just so much more infinitely fascinating. And I think that like this game is so good at making you feel like you are part of the team.
I see.
You know what I mean? Like you like truly feel like you are a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And Peter Quill, like yeah, he's a little bit goofy, but like he is like actually a great leader. And like you kind of learn like him and how he like thinks, and like you kind of get to like role play as Peter Quill, and like it's actually really cool because he's a great person, and he's infinitely so much more of a character than the guy that plays him from Parks and Rec that's now Mario. What's his name?
I don't know. I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about. But yeah, I see what you mean. Like they just took like the original comic book characters, and man, it sounds like I need to play this game to pick up on some leadership skills. And
Chris Pratt, that's the guy's name. So like his portrayal is a version of this character, but the character of Peter Quill is so much more than how Chris Pratt portrays him. Yeah. And then he's like infinitely more badass. Like he's really cool. And I really liked learning about that character. And I love learning about all of the other characters as well. Like I think that Drax is so much more like he works so hard. Like it's crazy because like he literally like is always reading, like he's always trying to like better himself, and like that's like kind of part of his character arc. Like he's like suffering like these terrible losses of the loss of his family, and like in this universe like he's the one that ended up killing Thanos, and like now he's like kind of found peace, but he's still like a super toxic person going through grief. But he's like always reading a book trying to like better himself, and you can like see it in him, and like he really confides in Peter because Peter was always there for him. And like you learn about Rocket's past story, which is like it's super effed up and dark, and it's crazy. And just being like a part of this, and like oh my gosh, like Gamora, like you like it's crazy because you kind of learn that like her. So you like the deadliest woman in the galaxy. Like you kind of learn that that's like a misnomer, and that she was actually they gave her that because she was a turncoat and she saved a life, and they were like making fun of her because she was like this legendary assassin, but like she was on a mission towards the end of the war and she like refused to assassinate someone because they were a child. And so like everybody's like, oh, the deadliest woman in the galaxy like wouldn't do this. And it was kind of like the frustration of it because like she's done so much against us, and then she switched sides and wouldn't do this one thing. And she kind of talks about like after the war, like, you know, she finally realized that like Thanos was like bad, and she switched to the good side, and everybody hated her. And she like talks about like how she's in such a dark place, like thinking about like suicide and things like that. And you just like don't really expect to see that from somebody that's like
So
titled,
badass.
yeah, like so badass and titled the deadliest woman in the galaxy. And like you just get to see so much of that, and like there, like, so I guess this game is like really the forming of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and like they break up in the game, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, like they break up, and you have to continue on without part of the team, and then like you get thrown back into like working together like against your own will, like you are forced to work together again, and it kind of brings the team back together in a way, and like you end up finding resolution, and like it's just crazy. Like basically, I mean, I'm not going to spoil it, but like I'm actually not going to say too more. I mean, I've said a lot, but it's like truly like crazy and like so heartfelt. Like you get to know these characters, and like for me, like getting to know Gamora and Rocket was just like it really, I don't know, it felt very heartfelt because those are the characters that seemed like they needed to go through the most. But also like Drax as well. Like Drax is really going through it too, you know.
Yeah.
And man, I would recommend this to anyone. And I think that especially like if you're a fan of Marvel, like I know it's in today's day and age, like there's just so much Marvel like thrown at you. Like I think that if you need like something new, something fresh, like this is it. Because like it's just a totally new adaptation. And I think, like, truthfully, like, it's very revolutionary in what it does with making you feel like you're a member of the team. So, I think it's so awesome. I think it's such a great game. And a big criticism of it is the gameplay and the fighting. And it does it okay. Like, I will say this. At the beginning of the game, I had heard that you get an option if you can, like, boost your blasters. Like Peter Quill has blasters, and you can boost the power of those. Just put those on max, because if you don't put those on max, it's not tough, but it can get kind of exhausting. Because one of the big criticisms is like you have to tell the Guardians of the Galaxy to what to do. So you have to like press the D-pad and then give them a command while you're in combat. And everybody's like, well, that sucks. Like Peter Quill's the most boring of the people. Like why couldn't we have played as other Guardians of the Galaxy? You know what I mean? And that was a big criticism of it. And I think that is really tough. Because, I mean, at one point you're like, fair, because Gamora's a badass. I'd love to play as Gamora. But also, like, it's part of the narrative. And there's also, like, moments outside of combat where you have to tell different Guardians what to do. Like, you have to tell them, like, hey, like, move that rock over there. Or, like, hey, Groot, I need you to extend your arm so we can get across. And, like, people that are, I guess, critics of the game found that tedious. And, like, I understand that. But I also know that, like, they did not beat the game. Because, like, you can't, I mean, like, doing this podcast, like, we don't beat every game that we talk about. And I know that, like, just the nature of, like, reviews and stuff, like, they couldn't have beaten, or a lot of times they don't beat the games they review.
Yeah.
And at the end of the game, the reason I'm telling people this is because that's one of the biggest criticisms of this game, and why I don't think it did very well is because people in the games media talk negatively about those aspects. But when you get to the end of the game, like, you have to remember, like, they are forming the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, they barely started. Like, a joke that they have in the game is that Drax made business cards, and nobody is using them but Drax. Like, he works so hard. Like, he's literally peddling business cards. And, like, it's kind of funny because they all, like, need each other.
Yeah.
and they end up breaking up. But at the end of the game, it really pays off, because there's a moment when, like, after you guys are like, we're doing this, like, we're the Guardians of the Galaxy. You don't have to tell them what to do anymore. They just do it. And I think that, like, once you get to that point, like, that point is, like, at the end of the game. But once you get there, it's like, oh my gosh, it's firing on all cylinders. And I think that they knew that those aspects were maybe a little tedious, but
that's part of
I
the
think
story.
it's part of it. The tension and the tedium of, like, being a leader is part of the payoff when it all works together.
That's actually really well put. I like that dynamic a lot. I think it makes it worthwhile to play the story all the way through and get there, right, and earn it, so to say, you know, especially, you know, from the lens of Peter Quill, who, you know, is a human, and in comparison to his teammates is lacking all of the, like, physicalities and maybe can't compete from that area, but his role is so important, right? He's the nucleus. Without Quill, is, you know, the Guardians would be, you know, futile. So I really like that dynamic of it, and I'm kind of sold on the game now. I kind of want to play that and have that experience.
Yeah, you absolutely should, man. You really, really should play this game. And what I will say about it, just to add, like, another little piece to it, there are different parts in the game where you can make different decisions, and based on that, the story changes. So there are different, like, endings and different paths that everyone can take. So it does, like, it's not, like, all linearity. Like, the story is linear, but, like, you can get there different ways. And I think that that's really cool. And just one thing I wanted to say as we were ending it, because it's in space, they have, like, a different language and they have different swear words. So I just wanted to end on, this game is so flarking good, because that's their version of the F word. Flarking. So Rocket says flarking a lot. He uses a little potty mouth. But Guardians of the Galaxy, number 4, so flarking good.
What are flarking for?
It's always moving towards you. We don't care about the odds. We laugh in the face of gods. We don't back down. We stand our ground. We stay true. Yeah, we see your faces in our dreams. We hear the sound of a million screams. Close your eyes and say your prayers. Open your eyes and we'll be there. We're here ready to fight. We're gonna light up the night. Gonna give you all you can take. We're gonna make your whole world shake. We're here ready to roll. We're just about to lose control. Coming at you with all we got. We're ready, so take your best shot.
All right, man. Top 3.
Number 3.
How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. I can't believe we're already this high up on the mountain.
Oh, man.
I'll just go ahead and say it. Number 3 is Call of Duty Vanguard.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a title I spent a lot of time with this past year, and you know, I really, really enjoyed the multiplayer facet of it. It was kind of set in kind of like a World War II kind of environment, but it was still very modern. Like, it played very modern, and it was just kind of interesting to see this time period brought back to life. It kind of reminded me that, like, 80 years is not really that long of a time.
Yeah.
You know, like,
It's really not.
It hasn't been that long. And it definitely, you see it with, like, the technology, you see it with, like, the way the characters interact and the campaign. And I also really had a great time with the zombies on this game mode, which was something I was worried about because it wasn't the original Zombies team. It was the Activision team in tandem with the Treyarch team. The Treyarch team helped them out a bit, but it was mainly Activision taking the
How do you
helm on
think it
this.
ended up working out? Like, what were some of your favorite aspects of it? Because it's not turn-based, or not round-based anymore.
It is round-based.
Okay, so it's still round-based?
There's definitely there's like, you can play, different, but there's still the round-based versions.
Okay.
It ended up working out well. It was different, it had its own twist to it. It definitely felt like zombies. It was really fun. The progression was, well planned. It was good. I had a great time. I found myself going back to it. So even playing with random people, so that it was a good experience for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm so happy that you were able to have a good experience with it.
Yeah, and I was trying to, like, get all these guns, like gold and zombies and stuff, and that's how I had a good time. I was like kept going back and completing these challenges, and just trying to have fun with it, and it did do that. It delivered that for me time and time again. So Call of Duty Vanguard is a really good one. Number 3.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm so happy that you were able to have such a good experience with it, man. And, we talk a lot more about it on our episode where we talk about Call of Duty and GTA 6 speculation. So we talk at lengths about Call of Duty, Vanguard, and I guess why it makes it so special. I personally didn't pick this one up, so I can't really speak to it.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy that you had a great time with it, man.
Yeah.
And,
thank you.
Yeah.
Number 3.
It's good to hear. Number 3. All right, man. My number 3, we talked about it a lot on another episode as well. But my number 3 is Stray.
Stray, okay. I can see why. You spoke really highly of this one. This game was just like, that episode was really philosophical too. It's a really good episode. Definitely listen to that one if you haven't already.
Yeah, we really got into it there, so I'll kind of just keep this one brief. And I think that the episode speaks for itself. But, I mean, this title really just stuck with me. And I think, looking back, this is the most impactful game I played this year. I think, truthfully, I think it changed my life. And, how I look at things. And I think it permanently changed my perspective. And I'm so happy that I had this experience, and anyone can have this experience. And at its core, at its heart, it's a story about us as humans. And it's about how we view art, why we create art, why we stick together and have community. It's about self-expression, questioning the meaning of life, our social and economic structures, and what it even means to be human.
Right.
And it is just such a great game that's all about looking inward. But you're exploring this crazy neon cyberpunk post-apocalyptic city as a cat. And it's just filled with robots. You know what I mean? It's
perfect third person to observe humans. I feel like a dog would have botched the job a bit, I think.
Oh, for sure. I'm sold on big dog energy over here, man. But a dog, he wouldn't have got it done.
He would have got lost chasing down something. He wouldn't have done the job that a cat did.
Yeah.
Telling this story.
I mean, it's just crazy. It truly is. It's a crazy neon cyberpunk city filled with robots, and you're a cat. But it's a story about us. And it's just fun and beautiful. and heartfelt, and there are just like some moments that are super tense. But it very clearly has something to say about our consumer culture, our elitist culture, and how like that is possibly driving us to destroy all of us, and possibly like lead to our own extinction. Like, it has things to say about all of that, and it's also in some ways an allegory of life itself, and how despite everything, like, how do we have the right to continue on? And it's just crazy. It's a great story, and it's all told
through the lens of a cat.
So, I mean, obviously, like, I mean, there's some heavy topics, but it's really stuck with me the whole year, and I think it. I mean, as I said, it permanently changed my perspective.
Yeah, I could tell after we made that episode, you haven't been the same since.
Really? Hey, I don't know, man.
I just wanted to say that. But it was a really good episode.
You scared me.
No, it's been a really good episode, seriously. The episode was like really, like I said, we really got into it. It was really deep, and it definitely made me think too. You know, it's like, it's so interesting that this species can be kind of like just an observer and watch us, like, as we go through our trials and tribulations as a species as well. It's kind of pretty cool when you think about it from that lens. And it's like wow, like, we've been obsessed with cats since forever. Like, ancient Egyptians have been obsessed with cats, and it's like we're connected to them in a certain way.
Cats are very interesting, and it's a, I don't know, I don't want to say too much more about it, but it's an incredible video game. I think it's an indie game, and
I'm picking it up.
It's truthfully not that expensive, so I would recommend it to anyone, especially if you're in the mood to like think deep about these kind of games, or think deep about these kind of questions, and experience something through the lens of this game.
What kind of questions specifically?
Like, just questions about life, about what makes us human. Like, if you're interested in questioning like what is art and why we create art, and if you're just interested in looking inward,
philosophizing,
or just seeing a reflection of us and our society, like, look no further. Like, this game is an incredible example of that. Or if you just love cats, like, you get to futz around as a cat, and it's just fun.
I think we should give this game to all of our senators. We should give this game.
They might not get anything out of it, but
they might just look at it and be like, "Why am I playing this?"
Hey, you never know.
I think it's always great when, you know, this kind of digital media can have that impact on us and make us look inward and just question things. You know, you never know the impact an experience like that can have on your life. You know, like, think about a version of Blake that never played Stray.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that, like, that something like this can impact you that way, but, like, also it kind of makes me, I feel like that's like one way that we evolve, is like asking those kind of questions. So, I mean, you can kind of get like stuck in a loop if you do that every day, all day. You know, like, I mean, I personally chose not to be a philosopher as a profession.
But doesn't pay very well.
No. But I mean, it is important to look inward every once in a while.
Yeah, it's very important. I think that's why some of the earliest humans that we learned in history classes took up that profession as a full-time job. They were very curious, and I think it's a very natural human inclination to kind of look inward and ask questions and try to figure out why, you know, why do we do the things we do. I think it's a very human thing to kind of like do that and like regulate and question ourselves and make ourselves better, you know, sharpen ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, it's a great title.
Stray.
Yeah, pick it up, experience it. Number 3, Stray.
Number 2, man, this is a title that's like, it makes me like very, very grateful to just the people that make these amazing things. This is Returnal.
I figured this was going to be another two.
Yeah, and I mean, we go very, very, very deep into Returnal with a very special guest. So definitely check out that episode if you haven't already. The Returnal episode is personally one of my favorite episodes that we've ever made.
Yeah, that was a really fun episode to make. It was also just so fun to play the title, and I got to play with different people, and it was just so fun to get to do it with Brandon.
I absolutely love that game.
Andrew.
It was shout outs to Andrew. It was a PS5 exclusive, so it really, it was designed native to the PS5 and all the features that come with it. So the adaptive triggers, and just everything that PS5 offers is really being boasted in this game, and it makes it feel so next gen. It makes it feel so fresh and exciting, and you want to go back for another cycle. You want to go back for another loop. Mm-hmm. I found it hard to stop exploring. I just wanted to keep exploring this world and keep trying to find new things, be able to beat the next boss.
It has this I guess like this, when you're playing it, I guess it's like an aspect of it. You're just like, one more room. I just want to clear one more room. Like, let me get to the next room. Like, right. I just want to see what's next.
Exactly, and it has like, you want information about the world around. Like, you want to get that information, and like that's why I found myself playing with random people online. I would just go online and play with random people. I'd play with my friends. I'd play with Blake. I'd play with Andrew. Like, just try to see how they played the game and pick up what I could pick up about navigating this world, which kind of brings me to the deeper connotation of this game that really resonated with me. I think this is a game, and we touched on this a bit on that episode. It's a game about, at the deepest level, really processing grief, and that process of it. And I think there are like 5 stages of grief.
There's I think there are. And they're like, is there 5 or 6 different?
I'm pretty sure. Actually, I think it's 4. Like the number of bosses in the game, there are 4 bosses. Yeah. But there's
I don't remember. But I mean, the allegory is very clear.
Yeah, it's like it's his mother. She's working through her process of grief. She's lost her son, and it's set in space, and she's like caught in a loop where she's trying to like escape this planet. She's trying to escape? Is it? She's trying to escape the loop.
The planet, escape the loop, but it's unclear if it's actually a place or if it's her psyche.
It's just her all in her head. The trauma of like that. Being in that accident. It's it could just all be a trip. It's like It's really an interesting game. It leaves you with so many questions. And like Blake was saying, like, you want to know what's next. You want to see what's over that hill over there, and you keep finding yourself doing another loop to get there. And it captivates you. Returnal, and I'm definitely going to be returning to this game for years. So
yeah, I mean, the gameplay of it is just so fun. It's so fun to just like pick this game up and play it. And, Returnal, such a great title. Number 2.
Yep.
Scout log. I found whole areas rearranging themselves. Found a technology I've never encountered before.
I guess that moves us on to my number 2. We actually haven't talked about this game in a while, but my number 2 is Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay, I can see that. Yeah, you really love this game.
Yeah, I did, and it's funny because we've been doing this show for like 2 or 3 years now, and like this was one of the first games that we had talked about. Yeah, and like we've kind of been talking about it since the inception of the Sticky Buttons podcast.
That's a fact.
But I had never beaten it until this year, and I guess not to get too personal, but like me beating this game was like very big for me. Like I had a lot of like personal things, that I was going through this year. I'm very thankfully on the other side of it. Maybe a wiser person, but there's a lot of change in my life, and just at the time that I just had there was a lot of change, and when I was kind of going through it, I had this, experience to come back to, and I think I had played like 40 hours, and then bounced off of it and decided to come back to it when I had more time, and I just found myself at the beginning of this year just playing it, and and I want to talk about it in a sec, but I want to kind of give some, like, I guess, foreshadowing or a preamble to it. In my opinion, Brandon, I think that there's a shadow over this game. And I think that it's one of the oldest and most beloved franchises. People speak so highly of this game. And there's so many people that tout it as the best game ever, which I just think is silly, because what the best game is ever is just like subjective. You know what I mean? Like we all we're doing the top 10 list. You know what I mean? Like we play so many games. Like there's no way that there's one definitive answer towards the best game of all time. But so many people just tout this game as that, and I just think that's silly. But from a technical standpoint, this game does a lot of things that have never been done before, and like truthfully, like it does redefine the open world genre and how we think about open world games. And I think that kind of cast a shadow over it, because I think when we talked about it originally, and like when we were playing it, we wanted to talk about that. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to talk about like technically what does this game do that's never been done before, like what works about this so well. And it just took me to like, for me really just to get lost in it, to like kind of go with the shadow and just kind of accept it for what it is, and just really meet the game as it was meant to be played, which it's just this isolated experience. And it took me a couple of years to come to that, and as somebody that loves games, I felt a lot of pressure to enjoy this, and I think because of that pressure I couldn't enjoy it until I found it on my own time, if that makes sense.
You had to like really get back to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, like I felt like
space of like just accepting it for what it is.
Well, no, I just feel like I just had to find it for what it was. Like, cause just cause like I don't know. Maybe you don't feel this way, but I personally felt a lot of pressure to enjoy the game, and I feel like I had to come to it on my own.
I definitely see what you mean as far as like the pressure to enjoy the game, because so many people like speak highly of this game, mm-hmm. and like coming to it as like a newcomer, mm-hmm. and like trying to like appreciate these things when you really don't have like any
like background. Like this is the first Zelda game I've ever beaten, and and it's just such
I never beat it, but it's the game I played.
Yeah, like it's one of the most beloved franchises, and it's really hard to, like, if you've never like played one of these or gotten into one of these, like you're missing all of that. So I think like you have to just kind of get over that, and everybody I think has to get over that in their own way. But like in the context of this year, like I found this, and it just it was just such a wholesome experience to be able to find it. I mean, like, this game rules, Brandon. Like, it's truly epic, and it's a truly epic adventure, and I just kind of think that this game is like the best high fantasy game, and it has like Studio Ghibli-esque vibes in it. And I think
to see that. Yeah.
And I think that like that's something that like people don't really talk about because they talk about the other stuff. So I just kind of wanted to talk about like my experience with it. I just love this game. You know, like when this game starts out, there's a lot to explore, and then you kind of realize that you're on this plateau called the Great Plateau, and you meet a mysterious old man, and they kind of quest you to find some shrines, and through that you discover these shrines, and they kind of teach you how to play the game. And then you get the call to adventure, and you have to leave the Great Plateau. And only then do you discover like just how big and grand this world is. And it's just so beautiful and so vast. Like, there's just so much to discover. And like, personally, my favorite part of this game is when you're like out doing a quest, either it's given to you by somebody or if it's like a self-appointed quest. You're just out there and you can find like all these little things you can just stumble upon, like a shrine, or like you could stumble upon some quirky character, and it's like especially with the shrines, it's like a normal quiet like puzzle, and a lot of times you have to like use like logic to solve them, and it just adds like this much needed respite from this like huge like crazy world of Hyrule filled with goblins. And it's just so cool. And I think that one thing I wanted to touch on is that like the context of this game and when it is like really fits well for the game and like the medium of games. Because I guess the context that I'm referring to is like there was a war 100 years ago and you lost. Like you lost the war and you don't remember any of it. But as you like explore more of this world, your memories come back to you, and this world is just full of strife and hardship. But everyone has like moved on and is just trying to make a life for themselves. And like most characters you meet, like only know the world for what it is, that it's lost, and they don't know what it's worth fighting for. And it's just so cool, and it really pushes you towards these impossible goals of like defeating Ganon. And I think that it just like aids the context of the game, that everyone has moved on, but like you are trying to right the failures of the past.
Right.
And I just think that really lends itself to like this crazy big open world. And to me, this game is just like the epitome of high fantasy, of what a high fantasy game can be, and like what I just think it's just such a great game. And it's so vast, full of adventure, quirky characters, there are terrifying enemies, like fun challenges and puzzles, and a wholesome world. And it's just like got so much charm, and it's worth saving. And it made me a Zelda fan, and it made me excited to play other games in the franchise.
Yeah, I remember you picked up a bunch of Zelda games after, like you were really trying to.
Yeah, I really just wanted to experience more of that. So we'll talk about maybe some more of those in the year to come. But I was just, I don't know, I was just smitten, and it took me. I mean, it's kind of sad that it took me like being in a hard place for me to kind of find this as it was. But I'm very glad that happened, and I'm glad that I got through the personal stuff in my life for other reasons. But you know, a side project, or what is it, like a byproduct? A byproduct of that was me being able to enjoy this game for what it is, and I think that's awesome.
Breath of the Wild, man. That's one hell of a title, dude. And if you haven't played Breath of the Wild, I really recommend you get it on the Switch. It's really, really good.
Yeah. I agree, man. I think it's just so much fun. I got the DLC, and I've kind of been making my way through it, so I'm still playing it in a way. I return to it every month or so.
Me too. I'm still playing through it too. So
It's crazy, man. Like I'm 100+ hours into it, and it's just so much left. There's whole areas of the map that I haven't even been to. So crazy, man. I guess that's my number 2. All right, man. Well, this is the one. Number 1.
the one, the last one, or the first one, depending on how you're listening to this.
The best game of the year.
The best game of the year.
Brandon, what is your game of the year? Your GOATY for 2022.
Drum roll, please. I'm gonna go with Elden Ring. I'm going with Elden Ring. That was my number 1 title, man. That game just checked so many boxes for me. I got to play with Naomi. I got to play with Blake. I got to play with some of my other friends. I got to, get introduced to this new franchise of games, Dark Souls games. Learn a lot more about, this world, and just have a newfound appreciation for these types of games, and now I think in the future I'll be more inclined to pick up a title like Elden Ring and give it a shot, because I just had a great time playing this. I'm still gonna play it some more.
Yeah, this game is awesome, man.
It really is. It's a timepiece, it's something that you can tell the creators really took some time with and poured their heart and soul into. So it's a great title. I recommend it to everyone, and that's why it's number 1 on my list.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I mean, I've never really played one of these like Dark Souls games, by was it FromSoft?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure something like that.
Yeah, I haven't played one of their games, and there is a learning curve to it. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I ever really hit where I was comfortable with how this game operates. There's just so many different play styles, and it's so adaptable that you can truly pick up any item and go with it. You know what I mean? And I recently, in the past month, I started a new save file. And the reason that I did that is I learned about... Actually, there's 2 things that I learned about that I didn't know when I was playing the game. There's iframes. Do you know what iframes are?
It sounds familiar.
So iframes are invincibility frames. And they are frames of, when you're doing a certain action, your character is invincible to damage. So there's there are frames, animations in this game where your character is invincible. And I did not know that, and I feel like that is such a such a key piece to understanding these Dark Souls FromSoft experiences. And there's also these things called parry frames. Do you know about parry frames?
No.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing. There's a certain animation
where you
and frames of the animation that allow you to parry. So there are some shields, for example, that the normal base shield, normal base parry is 5 frames of animation for a parry, which is very quick. And I think in other previous Dark Souls games, it's been closer to 12. So basically the parry is cut in half. Actually, it's cut more than in half. And when I learned that, I was I love parrying in games. I wish that other games like this, I was I really wanted to find something like that. I really wanted to find a playstyle that fit parrying. And there is one shield that you can start out with that has a 12 parry frame. And it's the bucklet. And in order to do that, you have to start out as the bandit. and you get like a dagger. So you get a dagger and this like bucklet shield. And I started it out again, and I had a great time with it. And I have to like defeat a boss, and then once I defeat the boss, I'll be able to get magic, which I'm really excited about. So I think, I mean, like, there's just, I mean, this game is awesome. Like, there's just so much to it. But like, I mean, like, this is your game of the year. You've played how many hundreds of hours at this point, and you didn't even know about iframes and parry frames. You know, like, this game goes so deep.
Seriously.
And it's really like truly just an incredible experience.
It really is. It's one hell of a title, and there's so much to do and explore. And like you said, play styles, like ways to interact and just go about, you know, playing in this environment that...
There are just so many different builds. Like,
yeah.
So many things you can do. So many ways to interact with it.
And I was trying to, like, I was going with the art, kind of like an archmage build. Like, you know, very sticking to, like, my spells and moving quickly. But I think I needed to definitely focus a little bit more on my defense. And, man, that's just hundreds of hours on this title. It's kind of crazy that kind of just didn't even feel like that. Like, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Honestly. I just wanted to, like, explore this world, get to know it for myself, and
Yeah, absolutely.
experience it. And there's still so much more for me to do there and get to know, and I can play with people as well, which is like that extra added layer on it too.
Yeah, I think this game's going to be with us for years to come.
Yeah.
And like people are still discovering things about this. Like that, I was a YouTube video where I learned about like these parry frames, and it was only a couple months old. Like people are still learning about how the game works, like to this day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that speaks to just the design of the game. You know, it's one of those games where from the very start it was kind of just like they're not holding your hand. Like you kind of just need to figure it out on your own, like how to you know get by and move forward in this world. And yeah, it plays really well, and it leaves a lot of room for imagination and just exploring. And I really enjoy this game. Number one for a reason, Elden Ring.
Yeah, that's so awesome, man. Elden Ring, number one.
The fallen leaves tell a story. The great Elden Ring was shattered. In our home, across the fog, the lands between. Now, Queen Marika the Eternal is nowhere to be found. And in the night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish. Soon, Marika's offspring, demigods all, claimed the shards of the Elden Ring. The mad taint of their newfound strength triggered the shattering. A war from which no lord arose. A war leading to abandonment by the greater will. Oh, rise now, ye tarnished, ye dead who yet live. The call of long-lost grace speaks to us all.
Nalu, chieftain of the Badlands. The ever-brilliant Gold Mask. Fear, the deathbed companion. The loathsome dung-eater. And Sir Gideon Othmere, the all-knowing. And one other, whom grace would again bless. A tarnished of no renown. Cross the fog to the lands between. To stand before the Elden Ring. And become the Elden Lord.
Well, I'll just move right along to my number one, which I will say is not Elden Ring. It's not. It actually didn't make my list. Elden Ring is a very hard game, and this is the opposite of that. So, my number one game of the year for 2022 is
Ollie World.
Ollie World.
I knew it, dude. You talked about this game so much this past year.
Yeah, I absolutely love this game. We've talked about it at length, but I really just wanted to start off with kind of the opening cutscene of the game. You can find it on YouTube. Maybe we'll put it in. Maybe we'll put it in this episode actually. But this is kind of like just a summary of it, and I really just wanted to kind of set the mood with that. So, Radlandia is the ultimate skate utopia. Legend has it that the land was created by 5 immortal skate gods. The celestial skatriarchs carved the mountains, grinded the deserts, and flipped the beaches, forming 5 mighty districts. One area each for their own vision of skate paradise, where they ascended into Nirvana and awaited a skater that could master their 5 skills with steez and a style that is true and both sick and gnar. The Skate Wizard, a master of the 4-wheeled stuntwood. The Skate Wizard's job in Radlandia is paramount. They must maintain balance between Nirvana above and the spirits of the skateboarders in Radlandia. The current Skate Wizard, Chiffon, is approaching retirement and is on a search to find her replacement. Could you be the next Skate Wizard? So, it's just inherently just goofy and silly out of the gate, and I just want to say, man, I think this is the best 2D skateboarding game that's ever existed, hands down. I can truly recommend this game to anyone, and it's a game where you can play it at any skill level, truly any skill level. It meets you for where you are, and it kind of teaches you how to play and get better as you go and as you continue. Truthfully, it gradually teaches you how to play. You can meet this at any skill level, and it's all about just getting into the flow state, and that's just what this game is all about, and I love it. And dude, I just gotta say, chef's kiss to the music, man. It's so good.
It's always nice when they get that right.
It really, it's so freaking good, and it just, fits so well into this game. It's just, oh my gosh, it's just so awesome, and, really helps keep you in that flow state. And the world is just beautiful, weird, fantastical, and just filled with some of the most memorable cast of characters I've ever had the pleasure of experiencing in a video game. They're just so intellectually written, and it's just so fun for you to enjoy being with them, and you immediately know what their character is just because they're so well written. And like, how in like DreamWorks movies and like Pixar movies, there's like the jokes that like you get as a kid, like you think they're funny, but then when you're an adult, you're just like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe they put that in a kids movie, like that's hilarious. Like it has a lot of those, and like because I'm an adult, I get a lot of those, and I just think it's like so funny because I can like see where like a kid would interpret it one way, and then it's like I interpret it a different way, and I just think it's like so hilarious and so intellectually written. It's just so funny, and I think that just works so well for this game because you just don't have to engage with that at all. I mean, I personally recommend it, but like if you're in the flow state and you just want to go to the next one, like it gives you an option to where you can say, like they'll ask you a question, you can just hit B on the controller, and it'll be like, no, I just want to skate right now, and it'll just skip all of that. So it's something that you don't have to engage with at all, which I love it when games do that. Like they give you like something really cool, but if you don't want to engage with it, like you don't have to.
Yeah.
And I think that's just awesome and brilliant. And I just think it's so cool. And as you like play this game, like, you get to know Chiffon, the skate wizard, and her crew. And in her crew, there's Mike, Susie, and Dad. And Mike, he has like a radio show, he has a skater magazine, and he's super into conspiracy theories, and he has like a prosthetic leg. And he's just an absolute lovable goofball, and he truthfully ties the whole cast together. Like he's funny, he's sweet, he's lactose intolerant, and he's just super enthusiastic. He's super stoked, you could say, just to have you there with him. So I love Mike, and he gives you all these like crazy challenges throughout the world, and then when you pull them off, you get new gear. And then there's Susie, and she's just there to like film you for her vlog, but she also like takes shots with Mike, so she's got like a camera, and she's always following you around. And she's like very down to earth, and she like so you're like on this journey to become the new skate wizard, and like there's like skate gods that are referenced, all the time, and she just like rolls her eyes like anytime any of this is mentioned, and like everybody else is like so in on this world, like, oh yeah, like there's like all these skate gods, and like there's a skate wizard, like you're on track to be the next skate wizard. Yeah. And she's just like a complete atheist about like all of that, and she's like, the skate wizards, yeah, like, or the skate gods, like sure, like Chiffon, like I don't know, she's a little bit off her rocker, and like it's just so funny to like have her in there for that just like mix up. It's just so funny to me. Yeah. And there's like at one point, like her, Mike, and Chiffon go to like check out some like cool new skate stuff at like a skate shop that just opened up. And she goes on like this whole tirade about like consumption and capitalism and how we should all be like more green. And I'm pretty sure that you like get some like wheels that are like made of wood from like listening to her. But she just like out of nowhere kind of lets it all loose when it's just you and her. And it's just so funny. It's like that's optional. Like you could totally miss that. And I just think that like having that in there like at one moment, I just think is awesome. And she's just an awesome like character. She just makes me laugh. And then there's Dad, which he's just like this old guy. He's got pads on, he's got like the skater, like he's got like a helmet, and he's like very clearly the most responsible one in the crew. He's always wearing a helmet. He's got safety pads. He runs a skate shop, so he's always like giving out vintage gear to everyone, and everybody loves him. But he's like kind of timid and like safety first, like how dads are. And it's just funny because like through the game you like get to his skate shop, and he's like, yeah, I built like this little like skate area in the back of my skate shop, like we should go check it out. And then you just get there, it is the absolute craziest level in the entire game. Like it's like these humongous like rickety looking roller coaster-esque like grind rails. Like it just is absolutely insane. You get so much air, like it's very vertical, whereas like a lot of the game like it's like 2D, so you go from like right to left and just do all these cool tricks. But and it's this in this one in particular, it is like so vertical, and you do like these like crazy like verts, and you just do like the most insane tricks on this like crazy level, and it like looks like he like built it together with like sticks and glue, and it just looks like the most like unsafe thing you could possibly do tricks on, and it's just so funny, and like the game is just filled with like just like like funny little moments like that, and I just love it. And then there's like Chiffon, who's the skate wizard, and she's very enlightened and chill, and she just looks freaking dope, man. She's constantly like hovering on the ground or like hovering on her board as her board is just like turning in the air, like suspended. And she's got this headband with a third eye on it, and she's like smoking this pipe, and these like psychedelic bubbles are just like floating out of it. And she's just like constantly giving you tips and like coaching you and just saying like, hey, like this is meant to be fun and enjoyable, and like you do your best skating when you're relaxed and having a good time. And there are just so many like crazy characters, and they're called local legends, and if you beat them at like certain levels, like you get cool customization outfits. And I just think that this game has like one of the best character creators. Like it's so robust and inclusive. Like it just really just makes me feel good. And like if you're not into skating, it's a really cool like 2D platformer. You could kind of say, if you like broke it down to its like most basic elements. And I know that people love 2D platformers, and if you're looking for a good one of those, yeah, like this game has got you written all over it. Like the controls are fantastic, and it just makes sense. Like when you play it, it just makes sense how you would do a combo and how you would just like play the game. Like it just feels so intuitive.
It's very intuitive. Very simple. Yeah,
it's simple and intuitive, and it's just like simple design is accessible design, and I just think it's awesome. And like I beat this game, and I've come back to it time and time again. Like I just love it, like getting onto a new level and just like chasing that high score. And oh my gosh, I just think this is the best skating game I've ever played. It's just so joyous. It's fantastical. It's colorful. It's stylish, and it's just inherently goofy and silly, and it's weird. And I just think that our world needs a little bit more of that. So it's just
a little more comedy.
Yeah, a little bit more goofiness, a little bit more comedy. Yeah, it's just an epically fun skate game that anyone could enjoy, and that's why it's my number one 2022.
Yeah, man, what a game to top it all off with, like Ollie Ollie World, dude. That's one hell of a title, and I mean you spoke to it a lot during the podcast this past year. I remember it came up a lot during episodes. You're really excited about this title, and I mean it makes sense that it's number one.
Yeah, and you know, hey, it's not going anywhere. Like they've released the
second one.
Well, I haven't released the second one. They released a DLC recently, and I think that there's another DLC that's coming on the way. So definitely worth keeping an eye on. It was on sale a couple months ago, and I mean, like, it's an indie game, indie developer. Like I think it's only like $20-$30, like a lot of the games on my list this year. But like seriously, like this is worth checking out, especially if you're on a budget. And it's just like supporting the developers here, I think would be awesome. But if you can pick it up on sale, like definitely do, because it's a great title.
Yep, Ollie Ollie World, pick it up.
This is Radlandia, the ultimate skate utopia. An island where even the trees are skatable. Legend has it that Radlandia was created by 5 immortal skate gods. These celestial skatriarchs carved the mountains, grinded the deserts, and kickflipped the beaches, forming 5 mighty districts, one area each to represent their own versions of skate paradise. When the skate gods' work was done, they pulled the biggest airs and ascended to Nirvana. Here they waited for a skater who could master each of their 5 skills with a steez that is true and a style that is both sick and gnar. Eventually, a skater was appointed as their representative in Radlandia. A skate wizard, a master of the 4-wheeled stunt wood. the job of a skate wizard is paramount to Radlandia. They must maintain balance between Nirvana above and the spirit of skateboarding in Radlandia itself. But skate wizards are a rare thing. Maybe once in a generation? The current skate wizard, Chiffon, now approaching retirement, is on a search to find her replacement. Someone who can achieve true mastery, impress the gods, and keep Radlandia balanced like a skater on a board. And so, with the help of her crew, Mike, Suze, and a man that everyone just calls Dad, Chiffon is running tryouts for the next skate wizard. Could you be the one?
All right, well, we're gonna take a quick break and then talk about some honorable mentions. I feel like Brandon's just eyeing me. I feel like I've got to atone for not having Arceus and Elden Ring on my list, so I have to explain that. I feel like so we'll be back and talk about some honorable mentions in a bit. I'll have to atone to the Elder Tree, or this is the Erd Tree. I have to atone to the Erd Tree.
Yeah.
All right, we're back in it, man.
Yeah, we are.
Dude, I feel bad, man. Elden Ring, it didn't make my list, man. I couldn't put it on the list, man.
We're here with the honorable mentions, and I mean, it makes sense that Elden Ring couldn't make it on your list. You had so many titles that really meant a lot to you.
I did, man.
And I could tell every last one of those titles were games you really spend time with and you really felt some type of way with, you know?
Yeah, I will say, this year more than other years, games that I played just, hit me. And I mean, they really just hit me. And, I guess, now we're on the other side of it. I feel like I gotta say, I'm actually kind of in a bit of a rut. And I, can't find anything. So...
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I guess, it's kind of one of those things where it's I guess I should be thankful that I had all these titles that I loved, you know? And I think that's one of the reasons I picked Elden Ring back up. I was, just trying to feel something. And then I just got my ass handed to me, man. So,
Yeah, I bet you if you got back on it, you put it right back away in the box. You're like, I'm not playing that. Why would I do that to myself?
You know, I actually, man, I think I'm a very, I'll say, moody gamer. I like to play games based on my mood. And I think as soon as, the winter hits, I'm going to need something. So that's my kind of plan, is to, maybe really try and get back into it in the winter when I'm feeling like I need an experience like that. Because it also, it's a very dark in tone game, and it came out in spring. And, for me, spring, I'm just I want to, look positive, out towards the world. It's been a dark couple years. I feel like if it had come out in the fall, I feel like it would have been different. And I feel like I would have, you know what I mean? Because,
for sure.
It is a very dark experience. I think a lot of people are going to come back to it this winter, at, when they're ready for it. And I think, over the next couple of years, people are really going to come back to it. Especially as more and more comes out, I spoke about the iframes and the parry frames. As people learn more about the game, I think it's only going to grow.
Yeah, so. I agree. I think it's something that the community is there for it. Whether the people are talking about it or not, it has a huge community. Yeah, and we can see why. I mean, the gameplay is there, the design is there. Mm-hmm. It's a great game, and I know I'll be playing this years from now. Hopefully with the people that I play with now. Yeah,
definitely.
And yeah, dude, I can see why I didn't make your list. You had some really good titles up there. Yeah. I'll be honest, Ghostwire Tokyo almost didn't make my list. Yeah. Dragon Quest X was in really close contention. Man. Wow. With Ghostwire Tokyo, I was right there, but I ended up going with Ghostwire just because it's a little more fresh for me. Yeah. It's been a while since I did play Dragon Quest, but Dragon Quest definitely did have that impact on me.
I feel like Dragon Quest is one of those titles that you really like, and I feel like I or like it's like a franchise that you really like. And I feel like I would love it. Like I like everything that it does. And I recently just actually bought some Dragon Quest games. So I'm thinking maybe in this upcoming year, like maybe we can both find our ways, like find a way to play a Dragon Quest. I think that's really, I think that is like a more of a like a mutual game franchise that we could both really get into.
I agree. I think Dragon Quest is just enough high fantasy for both of us to kind of have fun and really have a good time.
Yeah, definitely. But I just want one more thing I want to say about Elden Ring, and like it's the reason that I ultimately cut it from my list and didn't put it on there. Like sometimes I like difficult experiences, and I think that they're very rewarding when you get to the end of it. But the thing that I just couldn't get over is when it's like I think it's kind of like a trope of RPGs. And like when you start the game, you have to pick a class. And that class can define, it may not define the whole game, but it's certainly going to define the opening hours. And like when I started, I started as a samurai, and they give you a long range weapon and they give you a short range weapon, and that character is really good at the long range, but they're also really good at close range. So like you have this bow, and if you use the bow effectively, like it's a great character because you can do damage to them with the bow as they're coming in, and then finish them off with your like really powerful like close up combat. And I just didn't click with the bow. I hated the bow. And then I finally, after like 20 hours, had like got enough to be able to get a single spell, the Glit Pebble, which is like literally the weakest spell in the game. And I like found that and I got it, and I was like, oh my god, like this is when the game is finally starting to get good for me. And then I was just like, I had like a couple lives where I just like lost all my runes, and I was like, I gotta like put this down. And I never picked it up. But it's like if I had gotten that Glit Pebble 10 hours previously, I don't think... It would have
been a lot more enjoyable. You don't think you would ever put it down?
I don't think I ever would have put it down.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I got the Glit Pebble, and then from there I got like a bunch of other really nice spells, and I mean, yeah, I got pretty far in the game because of it. Just having that like spell on one hand and like
your sword on the other.
And then the sword on the other. And found some really cool sword abilities too. Like I really like the blood slash. There's like a kind of like a move you could do where it only takes your stamina, and it does a lot of damage, and it's like a quick kind of like slash of blood. That move just does damage on anything. Like it's awesome. But I really got to do the iframes and the P frames. I gotta get
you gotta look at those because it was really informative for me, and like I could not figure out why I couldn't land a parry. And like that was one of the things that I love about these type of games, like not specifically from games, but like games in this genre. And I was just so frustrated that I couldn't get the parry right. But in this, there's like a couple like super OP'd parries that give you like a lot more parrying time. And they're like, if you can get those, like this game, it really just opens that whole like aspect of it. Like it opens up a whole new aspect of the game. So I really want to get to that point. And then I started a new character, which was like a bandit, and you get the better like parrying shield, like the shield that has more parrying, like the bucklet. And like I could already tell, like in the couple hours that I had spent with it, where I created my new character, that I was really getting like I was really understanding the parry better, and I was having more fun. But it was like, man, like all these enemies that I've like. That I could just like cakewalk before, like now I'm a level 9 character again. Like it just like now I have to do this all over again. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping I can come back to it, but
I think you will. I mean,
I think I will.
It's only a matter of time because it's just like you said. I think it's very much like a winter game. Kind of, it needs to be like a bit like colder outside, darker outside, like
yeah.
But I think the motivation will come to pick it up again.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for myself, I know it's going to come again. We'll see. We'll see how God of War does. If God of War is, like, not hitting, then it'll probably be on Elden Ring.
Yeah.
But I doubt that, man, because God of War is probably gonna hit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I had a couple other honorable mentions I wanted to mention. Also, Arceus, man, that wasn't
on your list.
It
And
wasn't
I
on
was
my list,
expecting
man.
that one for you. But
I took it off at the last minute, man, and I wrote so many notes about this game, and we talked a lot about it when we were talking about it.
yeah.
And I think it's revolutionary, like I said. And I just love the exploration and catching. But one thing that I love about Pokemon is the battles and the gym challenge. And the gym challenge is absent in this game. And the battles, there aren't very many. And they really changed the whole battle system up with this agile style, strong style. And another aspect of it is I love building a team and I love investing in certain Pokemon. And this game in particular is more than any other. It's really incentivizing you like never before to switch up your team, because you can really catch, if you work really hard and are stealthy and bait a Pokemon and throw a heavy ball, and you could catch a Pokemon that's 20 levels higher than your other Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it might not obey you depending on your rank, but if you can have that Pokemon in your team, it's gonna be such a huge advantage that why wouldn't you? And you're constantly up against that, fighting things that are just way or more overpowered than you. But then it's why even bother investing in the ones you have? And it felt kind of cheap to me, just switching them out. And I don't necessarily know, going back to it, I don't feel that way, because I realized that I was it's just telling me to switch up my team. And you have to do all these extra researches in order to get the Pokédex up.
Right, so it's in your best interest to just
switch them up and don't have a team of 6. You're almost kind of punished for having a team of 6 that you stick with. And I mean, after I realized that, I had a better time with it. But I just feel also I kind of feel this whole game is one long tutorial, and I just I'm beating the game and I'm still just going to this other person and he's got dialogue, and I'm just let me go, let me just play the game. How is this game already over and you're still tutorializing some aspect of it to me?
Yeah.
I think that's a failure.
I know what you mean. Having to go back to the camp and
oh my gosh, man, I feel that just ruins it for me more than anything else.
It does very much bring the game back down to earth. You know what I mean? It just makes you have to go back to this checkpoint that kind of feels futile at times, and it's I don't know, it's annoying.
But I mean, it's a huge step forward, and then it's a couple steps backwards. And I think that I hope that they can utilize the huge leaps forward that they took, and just kind of tone back on the other stuff that just doesn't work. And also, the Switch couldn't handle it, man.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say.
I really don't think it could. So maybe, hopefully, on the next iteration of the Switch, I'm gonna pop it back in and see if it. I mean, assuming that you can still play that game moving forward, I'm sure they'll do that. So I guess knock on wood. But I'm excited to check that one out.
I'm excited to check it out too, especially if they make any more iterations. I feel they had a lot to learn from this one.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of things that were kind of experimental, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
So I want to see what adjustments they make and what it looks like the next time around.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any other honorable mentions you want to talk about?
No, I honestly don't. I was looking to see. I was gonna say 2K23, but I felt that would have been a cheat to 2K22, just because I'm gonna talk about this game a lot. So it's
yeah. Well, I guess the only thing that I just have one more, and man, I feel so bad that I couldn't put it on my top 10, and I had it at number 10 for the longest time, but I ultimately chose Fortnite over it. And that's Lego Star Wars, which I just love this game, man. And I actually really want to talk about it for a sec, because, dude, it really could have been number 1, but there's one thing that I think counts against it. And I'll just get it out of the way. It doesn't have online multiplayer. Like the game is like built to be played with people, and like it's built to be it was originally built to be like a co-op experience, and I think that it's really cool that they preserved that to where you can only play couch co-op like with other people. But like I live so far away from the people that I'd want to play this with. Like I'd want to play this with my sister. I'd want to play this with my buddy Kyle. Like there's a bunch of people that I'd like to play this with. And like if it had online multiplayer, like I would have made you get it. But we just wouldn't have been able to play together. And I think that just like takes it down from being like a let's say if that would have made it a 10 out of 10, I think it takes it down to like a 6 or a 7, because like it's just so hard to get to play this game. Like it's such a social experience and such a social game that like it really, I just think, knocks it down a huge peg that you can't play it in online co-op. But I mean, aside from that, like this game is incredible. Like it's so goofy, and like it's just the best Lego Star Wars game, like hands down. And that's all it had to be was just all of the previous Lego games in one place. But it's that, and it's just like so much more. Like it's just like an absolute dream to play. Like playing like Lego, like Boba Fett's ship, Slave One, like getting to jump into a dogfight in space with that. It's just been a dream of mine. And like you can play as like IG-11 and the Mandalorian, and there's all these character packs. They're releasing an update literally tomorrow, in 2 days, and they're gonna add more character packs to it. And it's just like so cool. I mean, like there's the Bad Batch, there's gonna be Rebels, like there's gonna be people from Andor, and like all these crazy like Star Wars thing, like crossovers. Like, I'm just so excited for it, and I'm still having like a fun time playing with it. And I'm having a great time streaming it, and it's fun, but it just hurts because it's like I could see how much better this would be if I could play an online co-op, and it just breaks my heart that it's not.
That it's missing that like extra step that could make the game that much more awesome than it already is.
Yeah, because like it's meant to be played in co-op, but I can't play co-op with somebody unless they're sitting next to me. And in the world that we live in post-pandemic, you know, this increasingly digital, escape of a world that we live in, you know, like you need to be more digital. I just can't believe it didn't come with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge knock against it. But I mean, like, it's just so much fun. Like, it really is an incredible game, but I think it's just unfortunate it didn't have that one feature.
Yep.
All right, well, I guess let's take a break, and then we'll come back and do something new. All right, we're back, and this year we're going to do, instead of doing a top 5 video games for the show, we're going to do our top video game moments and just celebrate the video games that we've talked about, and I guess just some of the best moments that made the year. So would you like to kick it off, Brandon?
Yeah, I would actually. One of the top moments this year was playing Fortnite with you and Carter. I think, that was really fun. It's a game that I never really give that much like love and attention to, and being able to get on it with some friends, I feel like is all you really need. Sometimes just get on there, have a good time, try to get a number 1.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man, and that particularly playing with you and Carter on that stream that we did, that was just so much fun, and that's actually on our YouTube. You can check that out if you'd like. But man, that was so much fun. We just had like such a goofy time, and that was so much fun. That's a great moment.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go next. I guess one of my favorite moments of the year was when we were playing Elden Ring together, and we were both kind of grinding out runes, and we were just like fighting these monsters, and then we both came across this like tunnel that we had never been to, and then Brandon left my world, and then we both like discovered it, and then like inside there was a campfire, and we like spawned him back into it, and we did this like crazy labyrinth of a tunnel, and it was just so cool. It was so much fun. And then like at one point, I don't know if you remember this, Brandon, but I was like, oh, what's that over there? I bet I could jump over there to that. And I like jumped over to it, and we had no idea, but we were like so close to the end of it. And then like I died, and I had to I had to start over and like do the whole labyrinth again by myself. I mean, there was nobody in it. It was just empty, and Brandon was just there. I was like, bro, you gotta come out. I don't have a torch. And he's just like, nah, dude, like, you died. Like, you gotta get there. And he just, like, didn't help me out. And I was, like, trying to find my way through this labyrinth torchless. I was maidenless and torchless, and Brandon was just having
and cold.
I was
cold. And hungry, and I was just waiting for you at the end, like, come on, like.
I know. But and then what's worse about it is I had to then, in order to get all of my runes, I had to successfully make that jump, get my runes. Well, the jump that killed me, I had to successfully make the jump, get the runes, and then jump back. And I did it, but I was in my head. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to
I
make
actually
this."
remember that. I remember that you were so stressed that you were gonna do it again. That was funny. That was a funny moment.
That was a top moment.
Elden Ring, man. That's one hell of a title. We gotta get back on that, man. That reminds me. We gotta.
Yeah, we should get back on. We should stream some of that. It was before we were streaming.
Hell yeah.
So
that's a good game to stream because there's no real like latency.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if your internet's laggy a little bit, because it's like, so what? It's like, It's just an open world game. But I guess moving on to another moment for me would be on in Minecraft when we had our realm, and one of your friends, Kyle, hit us up, and he's like, hey, like, what the hell's going on? Like, the server got griefed, like, he's just upset. And then, I had to figure out who was griefing on the server, and come down to it was my friend Brandon Rickard, who is a notorious griefer. I should have known. I should have never ever let him onto the world in the first place, because he's been known for griefing ever since we were little kids. But here he goes again.
Damn, you shouted him out first name and last
government
name.
just in case you're listening and you want to get your get back. Yeah, he's notorious for griefing. The guy can't help himself but grief from time to time. So he got on there, and he was, did what he does best, and he upset some people, and I had to kick him out of the realm. But it was just a funny moment, and it kind of took me back to. Well, it wasn't funny for Kyle.
I don't think he took it too hard, if I'm being honest.
But
I think he's fine.
Yeah, but. It's just funny to like see that I'm still dealing with that like griefing stuff even years in the future. Like, you would think we would be over that, but it seems like some people never change.
Minecraft Realms, man. I feel like we should get back on. I feel like we should.
That's an awesome one, because it's like anyone can play at any time. So it's really nice.
Yeah, maybe we should do something with that. Well, I guess I'll just move right on to another one of mine. Beating Breath of the Wild, that was a huge gaming moment for me, and it's so epic. And I mean, I'm not going to speak too much on it, but when you beat it, oh my gosh, it's just such a cool boss fight, and like the lead up to it. I guess I'll say this, because I didn't really know this personally. You have to descend into Hyrule Castle, but then you actually, like, the map changes, and the map is Hyrule Castle. And you have to, like, find your way to Ganon in Hyrule Castle. And you basically have to, like, clear this, like, labyrinth, like, this humongous castle that has, like, labyrinths and dungeons in it. And the outside, like, battlements. Like, it is just such... I mean, there's so much to it that, like, you would never know until you actually try to defeat Ganon. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I defeated him, and... It's really cool, and it was a great experience, so that's got to be a top moment for me.
I had to share that moment with you, man, because that sounds like a glorious moment. One of my coworkers recently told me that she beat it, and it took her forever, but she finally did it, and I'm proud of her. I'm proud of you. I had to join the club.
Yeah, you should, man, because I mean, the thing is, like, with it, is you kind of realize at the end that it's not really about that, but once you do it and like see it through, then you're like, okay, like now I can just enjoy the rest of it and still have like a great time. Because like it really feels like an impossible task, like defeating Ganon.
Yeah, I know. At least for me right now. I'm over here. I'm barely navigating stuff. I'm barely surviving, Blake. I'm getting cold and stuff. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah, that's crazy. You gotta eat the hot peppers in order to make it
like,
through the winter, man.
I don't think I'm in any type of shape to defeat any boss at this moment. Like, but you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'll be your guiding force if you need me to, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any others you want to shout out?
Yeah, I'll move on to hitting home runs in MLB. I think that's definitely a top moment. Just being able to like figure it out to the point where it becomes easy, and you're just like, wow, like this game is really fun. When you're like going on all cylinders at a game, and you're just like, it just feels like second nature. You're flowing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like when I got to that moment in MLB. It took a while to kind of figure out the mechanics because it's just a game I barely play. But once I got it, man, it was a good moment, and it definitely like took me back to playing MLB as a youth, and definitely, it just makes me have like appreciation for baseball as a sport, and playing it, simulating it. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's a good moment for me. Top moment.
That's awesome.
Do you have any others?
Yeah, I've got a couple more. I guess there's just one of the top moments for me in Legends Arceus, like just playing it and having like those moments where you're just like completing the Pokédex, and a big moment for me was when I finally caught that. Oh my gosh, what is it? I totally am blanking on the name of this Pokemon. It's like the big dude. It's like a Munchlax is the first one.
Snorlax?
Oh my god, I don't know why.
You sent me that video, Snorlax. And I was like, bro, like that, I would just quit at that point. Like that Snorlax moving that fast.
Yeah, there was this video, and it was like this Snorlax was just like breezing, like he was like
first of all, he
the wind.
He had red eyes, like he had bloodlust. Like, the Snorlax looked really, and then he started levitating. Like when you see a Snorlax levitating, just give up.
Get out of there, man! Yeah,
there's no even point in running. That's like getting chased by a brown bear. Just, just curl up into a ball and call it quits.
Oh man, yeah. I think it was like it was like a video clip of like some buggy gameplay.
Yeah.
But man, just like catching that Snorlax, like that was just such a fun moment. Like, cause like. I pretty much got wasted by him like the first time I ran into him, and then it was like, oh my gosh, like a level 60 like Snorlax, like I got to get out of here, and like it was just terrifying. It's got these red eyes, and man, it was one of the first big Pokemon I came across, and then just being able to come back to him later, like it was always in the back of my mind. And then I finally was able to come back to it and get it. So that was a huge moment for me.
It's awesome. That's a big moment, bro. Catching Snorlax. I know I haven't caught him yet, but catching like those mega Pokemon is like, it's a big deal. It's hard. They make it hard.
They make it hard to
very
catch
strong.
the alphas.
You gotta really weaken them. That's a big one. I guess I'll go with my last moment here. It's just being able to get my friends together, get a full lobby, so we can play at the rec. In 2K22,
okay.
My friend Brandon Rickard, who is also the griefer in Realms, just pointing that out. My friend Kyle, Danny, Mark, Edgar, shout out to all of you guys just getting on 2K with me and just shooting, getting some W's, man. It's really fun, and I look forward to playing having some more of those moments. Hopefully with you, Blake, eventually get you on some 2K with me.
Dude, I really want to, man.
Go to the park, get some 2v2s, get some 3v3s, hit the theater up, play some games in the theater, maybe play some rec. We'll see.
I think I'm gonna have to get into it, man.
But shouts outs to all my friends who definitely just get on 2K with me and support the antics.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I've got a couple more, but I think I might just end it with this one. So, dude, I had this. I didn't get to talk about this on the podcast. I had this absolutely crazy, gnarly Fortnite win, and I just want to talk about it. So it was during the season where they had like Darth Vader and it was just so fun because like one of the things that they introduced, or I don't know, maybe they didn't introduce it, but maybe I don't know, it was just something that was there that I think was new, is you could get gold and you could talk to NPCs, and then when you talk to the NPCs and gave them gold, they'd give you like either an item or like they could give you a legendary gun.
Yeah.
So I gave this NPC like all my gold, and they gave me this sniper rifle that shot in like 3-round bursts, kind of, but it shot exploding bullets. So like if it stuck to you, like if it would explode, but it had like a latency. Ooh. So I like gave all my gold to that, and I was like, man, like maybe I shouldn't have given all my gold to that. Like I was just kind of messing around this round.
Right.
Like I just started. Like maybe I should have waited and like saved this for like a big game. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, like I guess like it's minute 1. I guess I better like put on like put my best foot forward. And I just like go around this world, and I like get in like fight after fight, and I'm like using this sniper that's like, and the bullets are exploding, and I'm like, nobody knows that I have this gun, you know what I mean? So like they're not playing their play style around this, and I just like absolutely like wrecked like a bunch of people because like I'd shoot them, and then like they'd like run away, or I'd like hide, and then they'd like blow up, and like that was it, man. And like I just kept doing that to a bunch of people, and it was just so much fun. But they also, something that they added that week that was only there for that week, like it wasn't there the next week, they added this flying saucer. So it like got down to it, and it was me and 2 other people, and one person had a flying saucer, and the other person had like a porta-fort, and they were in the top of the porta-fort, and it was them, they were kind of going at it, like the porta-fort person was going at it with the person in the flying saucer, and I was just like crouched in a bush
watching this all go
I
down.
know, and I had just gotten like in a fight, like I didn't have like full health, I didn't have full shields. I was like, oh my gosh, like what is gonna happen here? Like I'm not prepared to like fight a flying saucer. And basically like the flying saucer did like some damage to the guy, and he like fell out of the porta-fort, but he was still alive because he was like on a hill, and I like rushed him, and I like shot at him with like the sniper rifle, and like blew parts of the fort up, and then I ended up getting him. But then the other person that was in the flying saucer, like they didn't see me do it because he had like hurt the flying saucer somehow, and then like I don't really know how it worked, but they like got the flying saucer back up line, and then I was hiding in the bush again, and they were like looking for me, and then I started shooting them with this sniper, and like the bullets were like blowing up, and I was like hurting this. So basically, it was just me in a bush with the sniper rifle against like the flying saucer.
Yeah.
And I was like, "There's no way I'm making it out of this." And I just like kept shooting at it, and like it was blowing it up. And then like if you're in the flying saucer, you can pick somebody up and take them into a like you can take. So basically, he like beamed me up and then took me into the storm, dropped me off, and then like went back into the area.
Oh,
but I also
wow.
had like the Spider-Man club. So then I like grabbed onto his flying saucer, like flew back into the like.
This is crazy.
I know. I was like flew back into the area that like the storm wasn't, and then I just like kept shooting him, and then like I got his. Like it was like me and this guy for like 5 minutes, because then the flying saucer like came down and like it was like disabled, and then I was like trying to run around and shoot him, and he was like healing up, and I was trying to heal up too, and oh my gosh, it was just like chaos. And then he like got in the flying saucer again, and then I was like, no, like I thought I took it down, and then I just like shot him like with everything I had in these exploding bullets, and it ended up like I got him. I blew up the flying saucer. I had like a sliver of health. I don't know how I did it, but I like took down a guy in a porta-fort and a guy with a flying saucer. It took like 5 minutes.
Yes, man.
It was the most
demon, bro. He took out the guy in the fort and a saucer. Like, take notes. If you're his ops, if you got a fort or a saucer, you gonna need more than that. Like, honestly, that's crazy.
And I was just like, I went through this like epic battle, and then I like was done, and I was like, I won. And my girlfriend, she was like sitting kind of close to me in the living room. She was like, oh, like you won? And I was like, tell me you saw some of that. Like, I was like, tell me you saw that. Like, tell me, like, I wasn't just getting so sweaty over here, and you didn't even notice. She didn't even notice. She didn't even see my hard work.
She's like, oh, nice, #1. That's
She's
cool.
like, good for you, babe.
So lovely.
So, hey, that's it, man. That's got to be one of the top moments.
What a way to end it, bro. That's awesome. That is a top moment, dude. Fortnite. It's hard to get those #1s, bro, especially when you're up against a saucer.
Yeah.
So.
But all you need is to get rid of all your gold to an NPC of the fish head, and you get a sniper rifle.
Yeah, and some determination.
Yeah. And a girlfriend that neglects you.
All right, and with that, that's it. Wrap it.
All right. Well, I guess thank you so much for listening to our 2022 Game of the Year. This is our first time recording in person, like we said before, and this just feels so good.
It was awesome.
So yeah, this
super
was
fun.
Yeah, such a great experience, man. Thanks for doing this with me, and thank you so much for tuning in. We've got TikTok, we've got YouTube, we've got an Instagram,
Twitch, all that good stuff.
Twitch. Yeah, it's all linked.
Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Spotify.
Share
anywhere.
with a friend.
Yes, please share with a friend. We put a lot of work into this, and we just love for it to be shared and appreciated. So we also, if you'd like to take it a step further, we do have a Patreon, and you can support us there for as little as $1 a month. And you can listen to our Game of the Year from last year if you're so inclined. And we've got some other bonus episodes there as well. So just thank you so much for supporting us. And if you'd like to go that extra step, like sharing it with a friend, would mean the world to us.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. This was the Sticky Buttons podcast, the best video game podcast out there in the podcast verse. Which was there are 2 billion podcasts now, I think. So that says a lot. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Thank you so much. GOATY 2022.
2022.